Every time we talk about this, a piece of Xhaka Hislop dies inside, but we're going to have to press on. Alexander Isak to Liverpool. Gab, what's the latest here? How likely is it to happen now?
Well, I mean, obviously the sale of Luis Diaz, I think what most people would say is a very good price given his age and his contractual situation to Bayern. That brings in a pretty significant chunk of funds. I'm still a little bit skeptical that this can be done without more pieces moving out, because I genuinely think the priority is or should be, or maybe it's all a smokescreen and they're really working on this, a center back, right? Lock up Konate and get somebody in there so that when Virgil is ready to hang them up, you've got a third alternative that's not Joe Gomez. But certainly Isak has made his position very clear towards Newcastle about sort of expecting to be allowed to leave, and if Newcastle are going to stick to the kind of valuation that they've had, then it becomes a lot more difficult. Now, in some ways, Šeško though is a piece of this puzzle, right? Because what Newcastle want to absolutely avoid is Isak leaving, even for a large chunk of cash, and then Newcastle being forced to go out on the market for a center forward, with everybody knowing that they're sitting on the Isak money. And then it becomes very difficult to negotiate. So I think maybe just as Ekitike seemed to fit into this equation, somehow Šeško may fit into it as well, with Newcastle or more likely intermediaries saying, well, hang on a minute, if you lose one big lanky striker with a Bundesliga pedigree, here's another one who could be kind of the next Isak. Different players, obviously, but you get my point here. And if you know that you can bank some of the Isak money, and then you already have a replacement with maybe the other half of the money, then maybe you're in good shape. Then maybe you're not going to necessarily go to war with the player who, lest we forget, has another 3 years on his contract. My hunch still is that this ends up with Isak signing a new deal, albeit one with a release clause. But man, what we're seeing Liverpool do, especially on the selling side, anything can happen.
Are you Manchester City in disguise? That's exactly what I would ask Liverpool. But yeah, we're seeing figures of up to almost 120 million. If this does happen for Liverpool, what does it mean for Ekitike after we spoke so glowingly about him and how he'd be a great signing for Liverpool? But will he get any playing time if they get Isak?
He's in the market again. They'll keep him for a couple of weeks, one half on a world tour, and he's out again. It's interesting. I will think that this was talked about. I think that they've been open about that also Isak could come in. And the funny part of his, I go behind Gab's analysis, but the funny part is that Manchester United is playing a role here, because if they get Šeško, Newcastle won't get Šeško, and Isak maybe have to stay, so Manchester United can keep Isak away from Liverpool. So there is so many things playing into this, and the timeline is important here. Who starts first, and as Gab is saying, if they get unbelievable money. But I can understand that the football fans out there, they don't get this. They don't understand why Alexander Isak's club, they got more oil and gas than the whole rest of the world. And Liverpool, last time we checked, there was no oil gas in Liverpool. But we know, we understand the main Isak as well. I mean, that is just unbelievable. And even Stevie will need to say that the Liverpool had already won the league, haven't they, Stevie?
Yeah, Stevie, what do you think of all this?
I think it's really strange that if tomorrow Liverpool sign Isak for 120 million, I'm not going to be dancing on the table. Which seems a little weird, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It does.
Xhaka will be bawling.
Yeah, well, I'll be crying under the table.
I've just sat here and talked about Man United, where I'm saying you have to build through the guts of the team, and you build from the back forward, and you get your base and the whole thing.
You want your centre back, don't you?
I want my centre back.
Yeah.
Had Ekitike not been at Liverpool, I would be dancing on the table if they turned around tomorrow and said we signed Isak. But the fact that they have Ekitike now, I'm thinking, 120 million on, it kind of feels like something you don't need. when there's a big hole that, well, I think it's clear there's a big hole there that needs filled, but yet you're going to spend 120 mil on something you probably don't need. That's kind of weird.
It is a weird situation, Shaka, but even weirder if this deal doesn't materialize and Isak stays at Newcastle. Say they offer him a great deal, they get to keep the man there at St. James's Park, but then will they still get the same productivity from him if they block this move?
If the move doesn't come through, I think they will. Alexander Isak is about 26, 27 years old, still has a lot of miles on his clock, and you understand that he continues to play as he has over the last couple of seasons, especially last season where he was relatively injury-free. That value only continues to go up. And as I mentioned, in talking about Benjamin Sesko and both Manchester United and Newcastle involved, that's a very small pool.
Would he be happy if they force him to stay? We can see how toxic these situations get.
Well, force is a strong word in that, to Gab's point, he's got 3 years left on his contract.
If they firmly remind him of that, then.
Well, and that's the thing. Listen, and as much as, you know, by according to reports, he's not shown up for training and kind of let his feelings be known, that's all well and good. If Newcastle stick to their guns, if they can't get a replacement and decide, well, you're staying, he has one of 2 choices. One, not to play. That does his value no good. That does prospects no good. That does any interest from the likes of Liverpool or anybody else absolutely no good. Or play, have another season as he did. And as Gab said, Gab filled me with hope. I'm not sure how Gab knew exactly how much he filled me with hope by saying he thinks the outcome to this is Alexander Isak signs a new deal with a release clause. Then that's a win for Alexander Isak. That's a win for Newcastle United if we get to that stage. Now, again, we've got another month and a couple of days to run before the transfer window closes. So there's a lot that can happen in that space. But there really isn't a lot by way of ready-made replacements with potential for Newcastle. And I think that kind of is restricting what they do, because I do not think they let Alexander Isak go without a replacement.
And I do not think Shaka Hislop can sit through another segment where we're talking about
Gab has filled me with hope, though. Gab has given me hope.
Filled you with hope,
He really has.
Well, we've got extra time coming your way a little later on, and Jan and Gab will be back for that alongside myself as well as Stevie and Shaka. So tune in for it. No, you are not dreaming. This is a fresh edition of ESPN FC coming your way. Your wish has been granted. You're welcome in advance. Hello, everyone. I'm Alexis Nunes. Come hang with us for a couple of minutes, shall we? Stevie Nicol joining me, Shaka Hislop as well. But we've got a full house because we also have Gab Marcotti and Jan Fjørtoft to join us to talk about all of the transfer rumors that have been going on, starting off with Benjamin Sesko. Now, Jan, let me come to you because yesterday on the show, Ale Moreno described him as a player who was a part of all the good we saw at Leipzig last season, but also a part of some of the issues that we saw. Now, for those of us who haven't seen him play much, how good is he?
Well, he's 22. He has got a lot of experience. He played for his country, scored for his country, I guess 16 goals for his country. So he's very experienced in terms of his age. He's a tall guy, good technique, and he will take the next step. But before I came on this show, I was thinking, people won't believe me because I'm a strikers union. I will say that this striker is the next big thing. So I called a friend of mine, Alex Rosén, who was the head manager or manager of everything in Hoffenheim for 11 years. And I talked to him about Sesko, and his words, I said, I'm going to go on ESPN, I'm going to describe this player. And he said, this is the next big thing. He has to take the next step. But he will be so great, Jan, just believe me. And I think if Manchester United, as it seems now, he wants to go to Manchester United. And if this should happen for Manchester United, they would have themselves a great striker. And we'll just see how long time they will take. And I guess that's the analysis by Manchester United. Should we go for for the young lad from Germany or from Slovenia, or should we go for a more experienced like Olive Watkins that is already adjusted to the Premier League?
All right, well, with that glowing review, we could probably forget about what Ale Moreno had to say on his analysis. Gab, what about you? Are you buying all that hype that Jan just gave us about Benjamin Sesko?
I mean, look, we've been hearing about Sesko since he was, 17, 18 years old. I think people were salivating over the fact that this is a guy who, he's tall and lanky, but he's also extremely athletic. He moves very, very well, and he has good technique. He's got a good eye for goal. Now, the question is, how does it all come together? When does it all come together? Last year, I was so excited by the SOS, Sesko, Openda, Xavi Simons, and he never quite really, I think, got to where they wanted it to be. He didn't make that quick leap forward, and you look at 22, well, he's old enough to be Lamine Yamal's uncle or whatever. So I think the question is, was Leipzig the right place for him to continue developing further? And from his perspective, is Manchester United the right place? Because, of course, the last bright young striker, center forward, who moved to United for a lot of money was Rasmus Højlund. Certainly, I think if you're United and you're going to make that kind of investment in him, you have to make sure that everything's right. You have to make sure that people are going to be patient. You have to make sure that he fits what Amorim wants to do. And you have to make sure that the pieces around him are in place. In other words, I think you have to really do your homework, but there's no question. I mean, he's a massive prospect, and if you get this right, you've got yourself, and he does take that next step, potentially you're talking one of the top 5 center forwards in the world, if he makes that step forward.
Well, Gab, we're going to talk about Rasmus Højlund a bit later and how this could affect him. But we've also spoken on the show about how Manchester United are trying to have a cautious transfer window because of the bad deals that they've done in the past. When we're looking at the price tag attached to Sesko, it's looking like a lot of moolah. Can Manchester United afford this?
Yeah, you mean afford it and stay within the rules of financial stability? I think that's a legit question. I mean, all we heard from Jim Ratcliffe was pleading poverty and how the club are going to go to the wall if he hadn't made cuts and laid off the tea ladies and the secretaries and whatnot. They're saving themselves some considerable salaries in terms of some of the people who left, and obviously Rashford as well. But yeah, I think it's a question mark. And if you push the boat out to that level, my question also would be, are you not going to invest in the midfield at that point? Is it really going to be, Kobbie Mainoo, Casemiro, Ugarte and the gang? I mean, is this really what Amorim wants, what Amorim needs at this stage? I'm not so sure. And the other thing is, if you don't get the sequence right here, having already invested in Bryan Mbeumo and Matheus Cunha, you're in a situation potentially where you get Sesko, and then everybody you have to go and offload. Sancho we already know about, but then Garnacho, but also probably Højlund at that stage. And then all of a sudden, people are going to be in a stronger position. They're going to have the leverage to negotiate you down. And I think that's another not a good situation, I think, to be in if you're running a club's recruitment department.
I think if I may say that one of the reasons, first you see that you buy the wrong players. Okay, that is a failure of a club like Manchester United. But then you get the second wave when you try to offload them because you can't get money for them. You can't get money in. And I know the Manchester United fans don't like us to compare them with Liverpool Football Club, but Liverpool Football Club will now offload first Diaz, 75 million euro. They will probably do the same with Nunez. Will they get 65 million euro for him? So wrong recruitments, they come in waves. The first wave to get them in, and then the trouble is to sell them again.
All right, Stevie, after everything you just heard now, price tag, his qualities as well, the fact that we know that Manchester United are prioritizing a striker in this transfer window, should they just go for it?
My biggest worry is for Sesko. And quite frankly, successful teams are usually built from the back forward. And certainly successful teams are built in the guts of the team forward. You don't start up front. Look at all the players they're signing. If they sign Sesko, they've signed 3 forwards, basically. You've got to get them the ball. You've got to get them opportunities to score. And what Manchester United have right now in the middle defensively isn't good enough to produce that for those three players. Again, if Sesko goes. I mean, if I'm Sesko, I'd be worried that I'm going to stall at Manchester United. You know, you try and, you know, you look at the path that Haaland's had. You know, he's done it the right way. He's built, and then he's joining a team in Manchester City that they're at the top of the tree. No wonder the guy continues to score goals and continues to get better. Is Sesko going to do that at Manchester United? I'm not so sure. And if they do get Sesko, Gab's talking about, you know, financial fair play. So they're not going to have any money to strengthen the middle of the park, strengthen that defence, strengthen in goal. So yeah, if I'm Sesko, I'm sorry, but I'm going nowhere near Manchester United.
So added to that, you've already spent north of 150 million in replenishing your squad. You'll probably spend another 75 to bring in Sesko. Speculation about another goalkeeper, which adds on top. I'm not sure you're going to get the 50 back or whatever it is that you paid for Onana, if that's the case. And all of a sudden, if some of this speculation is true about the direction of Manchester United intending to go, you again question profit and sustainability and all the noises you've been hearing from Ineos, etc. So to the question, there are a lot of layers to this that, from a business perspective, just don't quite add up. What is a definite cert, though, is Manchester United need an out-and-out striker, and it's a very small market. You see what Newcastle are doing and their interest in Sesko from the time Alexander Isak gets linked with Liverpool. That speaks to how shallow that pool is.
Jan, what's your final verdict on this, and what does the player himself probably want? Because as Shaka pointed out, it sounds like Newcastle are also interested in his signature, especially if they do end up losing Alexander Isak to Liverpool.
What we do know is that both Manchester United and Newcastle United have told RB Leipzig they're talking to the team Sesko, so to say. I reported this morning, and I've been told that he prioritized to go to Manchester United. That's the club, if you're going to choose between these two Uniteds, Newcastle or Manchester. Also remember that the director of recruitment is Christopher Vivell. Christopher Vivell, he worked in the Red Bull system. He worked with Red Bull Salzburg. He worked with RB Leipzig. Wasn't very successful at Chelsea as technical director, but now he's back to where he is good at, director of recruitment. And I guess that will play a role for Sesko. So as it stands, he wants to, if to choose between these two clubs, he wants to go to Manchester United.
They've narrowed it down to Ollie Watkins and Benjamin Sesko, who they feel are the two best options who are left on the market. You know, the profiles of those two players are a little bit different, but you can kind of see where United are coming from. You know, Benjamin Sesko is a younger player. United quite like that. They want to kind of sign younger players, someone with a possible resale value in the future. Ollie Watkins is older at 29, but is proven in the Premier League, and we've seen with what United have done so far in the market. With Cunha and Mbeumo, they've specifically targeted players who are Premier League proven because they see that as an important aspect. So, you know, two quite different players for that position. They will only pursue one of those. They haven't made a decision yet on which player to kind of step up their interest in. There is a little bit of concern about what kind of finances would be involved in those deals, but there is hope that, you know, whether it's Sesko or Watkins, there will be room for a little bit of negotiation, because obviously everyone will know that money is a little bit tight at Man United this summer. So there's no guarantee. I don't think that a striker will arrive, but United's certainly working hard on it.
When you talk about them being two different types of player, two different profile of striker, does that suggest that Manchester United don't know specifically the profile that they want when they're in for two players that are different like this?
Well, the issue is that when it comes to top-tier talent, Manchester United are no longer in that conversation. And so then you have to come to, well, what's after that? What's just below that? And just below that, then you start finding players that are good pieces to have, but they're not particularly game changers or franchise changing sort of players. Again, you bring Ollie Watkins, it makes your team better. But does it make your team better to the point to where now you're contending for something important? Well, that's not the case. Benjamin Sesko, a player that there are a lot of things to like about him. There are a lot of things and attributes to like about him. He's a big man that can actually play well with his feet, that will look to be goal dangerous, and I think it's a player that can be more goal dangerous than whatever Manchester United have available. The other thing I would say about Benjamin Sesko is that if you're looking to play with him as a lone striker, so be it. But if you want to have players around him and him being able to combine, not the best in combining with a second striker, not the best in combining with people coming running from behind. He's thinking about one thing and one thing only, is that I'm going towards goal and I'm going to work in and around the 18-yard box. Should be a better header of the ball than he is as a tall, strong player. Not quite the case. Look, there's potential to Benjamin Sesko, but there's also a lot of inconsistency. It depends on what you want to focus on. He was part of the good things that Leipzig did, and he was also part of the issues for Leipzig this past season.
Well, what are your thoughts on this subject, Mark?
Well, I mean, I agree with both the guys that profile-wise they are different, different ages. I know that they looked at both in 2023, Sesko in the January and Watkins in the summer. With Watkins in particular, they were quoted £80 million by Aston Villa, so decided that it was too much. They went for Rasmus Højlund instead, and that was a mistake. But the situation with Højlund is they took a gamble on a player with potential to become a top player in the future, which is a little bit like the situation they have right now with Sesko. We know he's got potential, probably ahead of Højlund was when he came to United from Atalanta, but he's still not the finished product. And I don't think United are in the position right now where they can take a gamble on such a crucial position. So at this moment in time, Ollie Watkins is probably a better bet because he is Premier League ready. You know he's going to score the goals. Yes, he's older. And Rob mentioned resale value on Sesko. A club like Man United shouldn't be signing players because of resale value. Man United are one of the biggest clubs in the world, despite the fact they're not playing well right now. They should be signing players to win trophies and to make the team better. Resale value shouldn't really come into it, but that's where they're at. And one concern for me would be if they don't know yet which one is their target. They must have a priority. They must know which one is their favoured option. It can't just be a case of who's the cheapest, because they have to have a player that fits their profile. So it does feel a little bit like not making up as he goes along, but just kind of spinning plates in the air and seeing which one drops on the floor first and which one smashes. So it's not ideal, but they're two very good strikers. But I think right now Watkins would be a better option because he's ready-made and Premier League ready.
Rob, word is that Gio Donnarumma could be leaving PSG. Is there any talk of him potentially coming in at Manchester United?
He's a player that's been linked with him in the past. He's been linked again this summer. United do have an issue with their goalkeeper. Andre Onana has come in and has had an up and down 2 seasons, I think is the best way to put it. He's made an awful lot of mistakes, an awful lot of good saves, but lots of the fans think that he's just far too inconsistent and makes too many big mistakes to be United's first choice goalkeeper. United did make a loan offer for Emi Martinez.
Every time we talk about this, a piece of Shaka Hislop dies inside, but we're going to have to press on. Alexander Isak to Liverpool. Gab, what's the latest here? How likely is it to happen now?
Well, I mean, obviously the sale of Luis Diaz, I think what most people would say is
They've narrowed it down to Ollie Watkins and Benjamin Sesko, who they feel are the two best options who are left on the market. The profiles of those two players are a little bit different, but you can kind of see where United are coming from. Benjamin Sesko is a younger player. United quite like that. They want to kind of sign younger players, someone with a possible resale value in the future. Ollie Watkins is older at 29, but is proven in the Premier League, and we've seen with what United have done so far in the market. With Cunha and Mbeumo, they've specifically targeted players who are Premier League proven because they see that as an important aspect. So, two quite different players for that position. They will only pursue one of those. They haven't made a decision yet on which player to kind of step up their interest in. There is a little bit of concern about what kind of finances would be involved in those deals, but there is hope that whether it's Sesko or Watkins, there will be room for a little bit of negotiation, because obviously everyone will know that money is a little bit tight at Man United this summer. So there's no guarantee. I don't think that a striker will arrive, but United's certainly working hard on it.
When you talk about them being two different types of player, two different profile of striker, does that suggest that Manchester United don't know specifically the profile that they want when they're in for two players that are different like this?
Well, the issue is that when it comes to top-tier talent, Manchester United are no longer in that conversation. And so then you have to come to, well, what's after that? What's just below that? And just below that, then you start finding players that are good pieces to have, but they're not particularly game changers or franchise changing sort of players. Again, you bring Ollie Watkins, it makes your team better. But does it make your team better to the point to where now you're contending for something important? Well, that's not the case. Benjamin Sesko, a player that there are a lot of things to like about him. There are a lot of things and attributes to like about him. He's a big man that can actually play well with his feet, that will look to be goal dangerous, and I think it's a player that can be more goal dangerous than whatever Manchester United have available. The other thing I would say about Benjamin Sesko is that if you're looking to play with him as a lone striker, so be it. But if you want to have players around him and him being able to combine, not the best in combining with a second striker, not the best in combining with people coming, running from behind. He's thinking about one thing and one thing only, is that I'm going towards goal and I'm going to work in and around the 18-yard box. Should be a better header of the ball than he is as a tall, strong player. Not quite the case. Look, there's potential to Benjamin Sesko, but there's also a lot of inconsistency. It depends on what you want to focus on. He was part of the good things that Leipzig did, and he was also part of the issues for Leipzig this past season.
Well, what are your thoughts on this subject, Mark?
Well, I mean, I agree with both the guys that profile-wise they are different, different ages. I know that they looked at both in 2023, Sesko in the January and Watkins in the summer. With Watkins in particular, they were quoted £80 million by Aston Villa, so they decided that it was too much. They went for Rasmus Højlund instead, and that was a mistake. But the situation with Højlund is they took a gamble on a player with potential to become a top player in the future, which is a little bit like the situation they have right now with Sesko. We know he's got potential, probably ahead of Højlund was when he came to United from Atalanta, but he's still not the finished product. And I don't think United are in the position right now where they can take a gamble on such a crucial position. So at this moment in time, Ollie Watkins is probably a better bet because he is Premier League ready. You know he's going to score the goals. Yes, he's older. And Rob mentioned resale value on Sesko. A club like Man United shouldn't be signing players because of resale value. Man United are one of the biggest clubs in the world, despite the fact they're not playing well right now. They should be signing players to win trophies and to make the team better. Resale value shouldn't really come into it, but that's where they're at. And one concern for me would be, if they don't know yet which one is their target, they must have a priority. They must know which one is their favourite option. It can't just be a case of who's the cheapest, because they have to have a player that fits their profile. So it does feel a little bit like not making up as he goes along, but just kind of spinning plates in the air and seeing which one drops on the floor first and which one smashes. So it's not ideal, but they're two very good strikers. But I think right now Watkins would be a better option because he's ready-made and Premier League ready.
Rob, word is that Gio Donnarumma could be leaving PSG. Is there any talk of him potentially coming in at Manchester United?
He's a player that's been linked with him in the past. He's been linked again this summer. United do have an issue with their goalkeeper. Andre Onana has come in and has had an up and down 2 seasons, I think is the best way to put it. He's made an awful lot of mistakes, an awful lot of good saves, but lots of the fans think that he's just far too inconsistent and makes too many big mistakes to be United's first choice goalkeeper. United did make a loan offer for Emi Martinez at Aston Villa, an offer that was swiftly turned down. Villa said that they weren't in the mood to enter any negotiations unless it was for a permanent deal for around sort of 30 or 40 million. United decided that was probably too expensive. There hasn't been that much noise around the goalkeeper situation since, because it seems right now like Andre Onana, even though he's injured, is going to stay and start the season as United's first choice. So I think United's priority right now is to sort that striker role out. If they can get a striker in, maybe they can get a few other players off the books, the likes of Alejandro Garnacho, Anthony, Jadon Sancho, Tyrone Malacia, all 4 players who aren't with the squad in Chicago, who are all back home in Manchester. United need to facilitate departures for them, maybe raise some funds. If that happens and they get a striker in, then there is a possibility that they may be able to wheel and deal at other areas of the squad, the goalkeeper possibly. They also probably need a number 6. So there is the possibility of more to come, but United's message really is that they're trying to be really, really cautious in this window. Mark has mentioned there about United making mistakes in the transfer market in the past. The one thing that United don't want to do in this window is make mistakes, and they would rather stick with what they've got than make a big money mistake.
So, Mark, that would mean you would start the season in the goalkeeping position without Onana and without a new keeper coming in. Is that a concern for Manchester United?
Absolutely, because they've identified they need a goalkeeper. They wouldn't have made a move for Emi Martinez if they didn't think they needed a goalkeeper. So I think they'll sort that situation out, because Rob's talking about mistakes. Sometimes a mistake can be doing nothing, and if United do nothing in the goalkeeping department, that'll be a mistake because Onana's not good enough, Bayande is less good enough. You know, Tom Heaton actually is he's probably the best goalkeeper in the books, but he never plays. I think he's 40 now, so Amorim clearly doesn't trust him. The situation with Donnarumma is interesting because PSG are about to sign Lucas Chevalier, top rated young goalkeeper, and Donnarumma's got a year left in his contract. I do wonder whether United are being used a little bit to kind of promote Donnarumma's availability. He's a great goalkeeper, Donnarumma, but in terms of his feet, I don't think he's good enough for the Premier League in terms of what United want to do. I just don't think his distribution is what a top Premier League club needs. But he's a great goalkeeper, but he won't come cheap. I just think that United are probably being used a little bit, but they do need a goalkeeper. That is absolutely clear because the mistakes that Onana made last season were very costly, and I don't think he'll change. So the problem they've got is they've got to find a goalkeeper in the next 5 weeks.
Come on, Mark. Manchester United would be lucky to have Gigi Donnarumma, man. Come on, don't tell me that they turned down Donnarumma because he can't.
Absolutely.
They can't because he can't play with his feet, and that you'd rather have Tom Heaton playing with his feet. Come on, that's that.
No, you're absolutely. Listen, Ollie, you're absolutely right. Donnarumma would make them much better, but I think the way that United want to play under Amorim, the one negative of Donnarumma's game, which he can get away with at PSG because all the players around him are so good. If Donnarumma's inability with his feet is playing for Man United, that would be exposed, and as good as a goalkeeper as he is, it would just create a problem, which David De Gea had. Great goalkeeper, not great with his feet. But yes, he'd be an upgrade on what they've got, absolutely, but he'd be an expensive upgrade.
Oh, well, can I just tell you, why would Gianluigi Donnarumma leave PSG to go to Manchester United? That should be the first question.
Okay, let's
You kidding me?
with the subject of goalkeepers right now. James Trafford being re-signed from Burnley to Manchester City. This is said to be a record fee for a British goalkeeper, Mark.
Yeah, well, obviously he was at City until a couple of years ago, went to Burnley. Newcastle made an offer, £27 million last week, but part of the deal that put Trafford to Burnley was that City would have a matching clause, so they were able to match Newcastle's bid and leave it up to Trafford, and Trafford has decided to go back to City. That will mean Stefan Ortega will probably leave. They'll keep Ederson, whose contract expires next year, but I've been told that City really think that James Trafford can push Ederson to become the number one. They think he can become a future England goalkeeper, push Jordan Pickford for that spot. So it's an interesting move because, I think Trafford is a very promising keeper, but he's nowhere near the finished article yet. Ederson has done it and proved it. He's had a bit of a wobble last couple of seasons, but the two of them are both vying for the number one spot. So I think Ederson will win it this season, but Trafford is clearly the long-term option at City now.
Meanwhile, Rob, while we're talking about Manchester City, word is that Nottingham Forest have made a move for James McAtee.
Yeah, I mean, he's a player that will probably leave City this summer. There's been an awful lot of interest in James McAtee from Premier League clubs, Forest being one of those, and also the Bundesliga. I think it's probably time for him to move on. He's had loan spells with Sheffield United. He's come back to City. He didn't play for City as much as he would have hoped last season. I think at his age there, 22, he feels that he really needs to play regular first-team football in the Premier League. We fully expect that McAtee will leave. He's obviously had a fantastic summer with England's under-21s, winning the Euros. And I think him and his representative just feel like even though he's kind of come through City's academy, it's just time to move on and play more regularly.
We just heard Rob there mention Cole Palmer. Could there be a situation where Man City regret letting him go, if that's to happen?
Well, yes, that's always in play. When you have young players that you think, okay, I don't know, is he going to get the minutes? We brought in other new players that we think they're going to be the ones that are going to get the brunt of the minutes. And somebody's got to go. Somebody's got to make space. And yes, in this case, the first name that came to my mind when we were about to talk about this subject and McAtee is, well, Cole Palmer. And that has to be fresh. Yeah, that has to be fresh in Pep Guardiola's mind. It has to be fresh in Manchester City's mind, that we let this guy walk out the door and look at what he has become. Could he have become that in our club? Well, that's an answer that we'll never actually be able to find because Manchester City decided to move from Cole Palmer. Are they going to be doing or making the same mistake with James McAtee? And is James McAtee that sort of player, and does he have that sort of potential? That also is a different question. I understand the perspective of the player in this case that, if he didn't get enough minutes last season when everything was falling apart for Manchester City, I don't see how he gets the minutes that he wants in a season in which it feels like Manchester City are going to be back to close to their best or near their best.
Yes, let's continue the conversation with Manchester City. Jack Grealish has returned to training. Doesn't appear to be in the plans for next season, though. How is moving him on going, Rob?
Well, slowly is the honest answer, because everyone will know again that he was left out of the squad for the Club World Cup in June. The idea was that he would kind of go away, his representatives would go and kind of generate some interest in him, and the hope was that he would kind of be moved on before pre-season training. Obviously that not happened. He's back with the City squad. He was back training with them on Monday. City have taken a different approach with Jack Grealish than say United have with the likes of Garnacho. United have very, very clearly said that Garnacho is not part of the plans. He's been left at home. He's not on the pre-season tour. That's not the approach that City have taken with Grealish. They've welcomed him back into the group. And when we spoke to Pep Guardiola at the Club World Cup, we asked about Jack Grealish, and he did leave the door open. He said that Jack probably needs to play regularly. He wasn't getting that at City. We think that the best thing for him right now is to move on. But if that doesn't happen, they're more than well. They're happy to welcome him back, and there will be an onus on Jack Grealish to use his pre-season schedule now to maybe work his way back into Pep Guardiola's plans. That's not the impression that we get from City. City still expect him to leave. They think that perhaps clubs the likes of West Ham, Everton will come in with loan offers towards the end of the window, kind of wait it out and see what's going to happen, and maybe make late moves. But while Jack Grealish is a City player, there is always that prospect that he could be welcomed back and work his way into Pep Guardiola's plans. There hasn't been any kind of breakdown in the relationship between Jack and Pep. And while he's still at the club, there is always that option that he could kind of rejuvenate his career at City.
Could you see him rejuvenating his career and getting back to the player that he was?
I'll tell you how you rejuvenate your career. You're more productive. Those numbers we just show there for Jack Grealish, and I know, and I've heard this whole thing about Jack Grealish, how good he is in the group and the locker and this and that. Okay, that's great, but productivity. And those numbers tell you a whole lot about Jack Grealish and how he has come up short in what the expectations were when he came to Manchester City. And again, I'll go back to the same reasoning I just had about James McAtee. Last season was awful for Manchester City. Awful. They were looking for answers, searching for answers everywhere. And as they were trying to find answers everywhere on the field, Jack Grealish didn't seem to be a viable option for Pep Guardiola, consistently so. That sends a really strong message to the player. And so while I understand that if he's hanging around, if he's still here, yeah, there's potential that maybe he has a renaissance, a rebirth, or somehow he finds it. He may find it. I just don't think that he's finding it at Manchester City.
What do you think the future looks like for Grealish yourself, Mark?
Well, Everton are an interesting one. I think David Moyes has said over the weekend that he thinks they need 10 more players. And Grealish is a player that they really like. But I think Everton have got a bit of business to do before they kind of get the cherry on the cake with Grealish. But I think the situation with Grealish is he's a player that will just want to play. And a lot of players will sit around and demand that they get paid their full money and be said they're not going to until they get their payout. I think Grealish is different in many ways. I think he just wants to play. He's had 2 really difficult years since City won the treble. Missed out on the Euros with England last year. I think obviously right now he's got a real outside chance of getting to the World Cup with England next year. But if he gets the right move, Everton maybe, a West Ham, maybe Newcastle, these clubs that have been linked with him, I think he could just about get back in the squad, but he has to play, and he knows that. And City brought in Shirker, they've had Marmoush in the January window, they've got Phil Foden that's going to come back this season. It's going to be really hard for him to play at City. I think he knows he has to leave, and I think he'll get a move. He'll get a move because he wants to move, he wants to play, and that will make it a lot easier. But Rob's right, it will take a while. I think it'll be last week of the window when clubs are looking at what they've got and thinking, right, now's the time to make a move, and that's when it'll probably happen.
Okay, well, let's let Rob Dawson make like Bruno Fernandes and go and enjoy the delights of Chicago.
He's going to enjoy the carnival ride he's got in the background there.
Yep, maybe that is what we always think of Manchester United's season, and maybe another one of
That's what I think of Rob Dawson, a carnival ride. So much fun.
Thanks for being with us, Rob. Mark Ogden, however, we're keeping around with us. He'll be on the latest edition of Extra Time, where Jan and the Fish has come back out again. We always love a bit of that. Check it out over on our YouTube channel. Kylian Mbappe will officially wear the number 10 for Real Madrid next season, with Luka Modric moving on. Here's some of the names that have worn it before him. Obviously, Luka Modric stand out in the number 10 shirt. Mesut Ozil had a very good run in it as well. Luis Figo wore it all the way back to the likes of Michael Laudrup and Ferenc Puskás as well. Can he live up to this number, and how does he compare to those that wore it before him, Ali Moreno?
I think he can live up to it. I must say, a few players there that you think wearing the number 10 jersey for Real Madrid, and Robinho.
I left a few out, as you all see from my...
Snyder, I don't know. Look, Kylian Mbappe will be evaluated not only by the goals that he scores, but by the titles that he wins, more importantly, with Real Madrid. He scored a bunch of goals last season. He was productive. You can't say that he had a bad season. But if Real Madrid doesn't achieve the goals that they set for themselves, then it's a bad season. It's a bad season. The numbers will tell you otherwise. Individually, yes, he was very productive. But needless to say, when Real Madrid has what we think is a down year, then everybody is part of that referendum. Everybody is part of that issue. Everybody's part of the problem. And in the case of Kylian Mbappe, I imagine that he's going to score a bunch of goals again. And I have no doubt that that will be the case this season for Real Madrid. But what I need to see from Kylian Mbappe is something different other than the goals. And I wasn't about to say other than just the goals, because the goals are the most important thing that he can do for this team. But there's another aspect to the game, especially with Xabi Alonso as the manager, who likes and demands his attacking players to press the ball. And it doesn't mean that he has to chase all over the field. All he has to do is to give a clue to the players that are coming behind him as to where the next pass is going to be. So chase enough so that you can shade the play one way, and it allows then Bellingham to go press the ball correctly, and it allows Vini to go press the ball correctly as well. Vini, by the way, also has to press the ball. It allows the players coming from behind to know where they can go and press, so that they can get not necessarily to the first pass, but they can get to the second pass and recover the ball in an advanced position. Now, nobody's going to sit here next year and ask the question, did Kylian Mbappe pressure enough with a number 10 jersey? No. People they're interested in the productivity, and he will have productivity. But the only way that this becomes a good season for Real Madrid is that he has the goals, but he's also willing to do the work on the other side of the ball. They do that, Real Madrid has enough talent to win La Liga and to win whatever they think they can win this season. If not, they'll find problems like they did in the Club World Cup.
No update, it would seem, on Alexander Isak's future just yet. And Newcastle coach Eddie Howe has said that no formal offer has been made for the striker just yet. Mark Ogden and Beth Lindop still with us. Mark, why is there still no word on Liverpool here in their offer?
Well, obviously, we know that Newcastle and Liverpool are both away on their pre-season tours in Asia right now, and while business can happen, it's not the best time to do business. Lots of key people are, on the other side of the world. I think there's also an element of there's a strategy here. Liverpool made their interest in Isak, public a couple of weeks ago, not through official channels, but a kind of a tactical leak, shall we say, a strategic leak. And now I think the situation now is that Liverpool are just happy to let the situation just let it ride with Newcastle, make the uncertainty grow to the point where at some point push will come to shove, and the Newcastle board, as Eddie Howe says, will have to make a decision. And in the meantime, this uncertainty grows. It makes Isak, is he going to push for a move? Is he going to get restless? Liverpool are going to stand back. There's 5 weeks to go until the transfer deadline, so they're in no rush. Obviously, they want the player in as soon as they can, but they're not in a rush to push this, because if they go too quickly, it could become a long saga. So I think Liverpool right now are in a good position. They know that Isak is ready to consider a move. They keep hearing Eddie Howe say, it's out of my hands, it's up to the board. That to me sounds like the cracks are already beginning to show at Newcastle. Liverpool know that at some point soon they can make their move. The first bidder will be rejected, obviously, that Newcastle push for a fee. But I do think that it's a game that's being played, and by the end of the window, Alexander Isak could be a Liverpool player.
It might not come as much of a surprise to you, Beth, that our defender on the panel, Stevie Nicol, former Liverpool player Stevie Nicol, thinks that they should be putting their attentions towards getting a centre-back instead. Will there be any feeling among the Liverpool fans that there could be too many new faces in the attack?
Yeah, I think that is always the issue. I think Liverpool last season, there was a lot of talk coming into the season that they hadn't freshened the squad up enough, and ultimately they only added Federico Chiesa, who played, very few times in the Premier League, and they went on to win the title at Acanto. So there is something to be said for having a settled squad, and there's a chance that perhaps, too many new faces might, it might take a little bit of time to gel. I think from Isak's perspective, it's sort of, he's the sort of player that you push the boat out for and you take a risk for, and if Liverpool feel like the opportunity is there to bring him in this summer, then as Mark said, I'm sure they'll be keen to get that one over the line. I think in terms of centre-backs though, for me, that should be Liverpool's priority, and it is something that they are monitoring and working on. It was sort of, they were linked quite heavily to Mark Gay from Crystal Palace earlier in the window, that he's a player that they do like, but there hasn't been an awful lot of movement on that the last couple of weeks. So it will be interesting. For me, I think it would be a risk for them to go into the season with just Virgil van Dijk and Ibrahima Konate. We know they've got Joe Gomez as well, but he's had to withdraw from the pre-season tour of Asia with an injury already. We know he's not got the best track record when it comes to injuries. So I do agree with Stevie there, actually. I think while Isak would be great, and I think in an ideal world Liverpool would get Isak and a centre-back, for me a centre-back should be Liverpool's priority.
Ali, how can it affect a team having too many new players to gel with?
You're looking at this from the perspective of Liverpool and the group of players that is already there. But think about the players that are coming in. Florian Wirtz and Alexander Isak haven't played in the same team together. So that and that's just one pairing. And you think about Ekitike, and then you think about all the other players that now have to accommodate these new faces that are coming in. My thought on Liverpool, it's very simple, and it's along the lines of something that Stevie was talking about the other day. If initially you were thinking about Dean Howson, it's because you were going to address the center-back position. That was going to be a priority for you in this window. Otherwise, you would not have been thinking about that player. Now, that player went elsewhere to Real Madrid. And since then, there's been no conversation about a center-back, and every conversation about all the attacking players. So why has this changed? Why have we gone from one end of the field to the opposite end of the field, dramatically so, and now there is very little conversation as to what the center-back position is going to be and who's going to be that player that could address some of the faults that Liverpool could potentially have in that position. They lack depth there. That's obvious to see. And so you're going to have difficulties in terms of the players coming in, playing together, and actually finding the rhythm together. And one of the things that we appreciate about Liverpool is how well the group plays together and how they did so all of last season, and how the movement of certain players, it's already automatic. You know where this guy is going to be. You know where that guy is going to be. You know, because you've played together, because you've gone through things, because you've had experiences together, and all of that takes time. And so while I understand what Mark is saying about Alexander Isak and Liverpool is in a good position and so on and so forth and this and that, they're not going to push. Well, if the priority is Isak, then they need to have him available so that they can work through some of these things before the season starts. You don't want to be doing this the first 3-4 weeks of the season, where you're going through some growing pains, and we're going to have the discussion. Well, they didn't play together. They're trying to gel. They're trying to find each other's rhythm. And you're making the job of the manager more difficult as well, because he needs to figure out, where does this guy go? Where does that guy go? Where does this guy go? And I can tell you that there aren't enough positions for the amount of players that they now have available in the attacking half. So there's going to be some musical chairs going on at Liverpool, and Arne Slot is going to have to figure it out. And that takes time. And still, having said all that, they haven't addressed the center-back position. I don't know if I totally see the game plan here from Liverpool. I could see Ekitike or Isak. I don't see both of them. And now that you're going after Isak and you're ignoring what's going on back there, I think that could be a problem.
Yeah, and there seems to be a big pot of money as well. We've already seen Liverpool spending a lot, Beth. It could be spending a lot more. I wonder how the fans have been reacting to the money that's been spent in the past. There have been complaints that they've not spent enough.
We're never happy over in England, are we? They spend too little, there's complaints. If they spend too much, there's complaints. But yeah, I think Liverpool obviously have there's been a bit of a departure from the typical strategy of being quite frugal in the transfer market. But that being said, that they're only able to do that because they're in a really strong financial position. The past 3 transfer windows, the only incoming has been Federico Chiesa for 12 million or so last summer, and during that time they've got back into the Champions League, they've got the revenue from winning the Premier League. So in terms of PSR and financial room, they've got plenty of headroom there. And the shrewd decision making over the past few years has put them in this commanding position. And also, we know that Luis Diaz now is imminently going to be moving to Bayern Munich, so that brings the player sales under Richard Hughes, the sporting director who came in last summer, up to 190 million. So that's in just over a year's period. They've generated that much revenue from transfers. So that's why they are able to spend. And I do completely take Ali's point about the disruption, I guess, to the front line and players needed time to gel. But ultimately, if the players that are already there want to leave, then Liverpool need to replace them. Luis Diaz pushed to leave Liverpool. He wanted to leave last summer. They managed to convince him to stay, but the club and the player were too far apart in contract demands, in financial demands. So ultimately they couldn't get a new deal agreed, and he decided that he wanted to leave. So they have to replace him. Darwin Núñez looks like he's going to be leaving, Federico Chiesa as well. And obviously, it feels incredibly unimportant to talk about Diogo Jota from a footballing perspective, because first and foremost, Liverpool have lost an incredible human being who will be missed so deeply by everyone at the club. But he was also a fantastic player and a reliable source of goals for Liverpool, who is now no longer there, very sadly. So they also have to fill that void as well on the pitch, if not off it. So as much as I agree that in an ideal world you don't have 3, 4, 5 new attackers coming in, if that number of players want to leave, then Liverpool have to replace them.
Well, I'm all for them bringing the players in, but give them enough time. This doesn't happen so very quickly that they come in and the second day, look at us, we're flying. No. This is what building a team is all about, and you got to give the manager time to evaluate and see, where does this guy fit in, where does that guy fit in, and where do they fit into my plans and how I want my team to play. That takes time. That doesn't happen overnight.
Yes, and we're going to find out because we're not too far away from the season starting right now. Beth, thank you so much for being with us. Mark too. We'll be speaking to you guys again very, very soon. Make sure to stay up to date with everything that's going on when it comes to the transfer window, and plenty more over on our YouTube channel, ESPN FC. Mark Ogden is still with us. Rob Dawson is joining us now. He's been following Manchester United on their tour of the US. He's in Chicago now. Rob, what more can you tell us on what the feeling is in the camp at Manchester United? Are they enjoying their pre-season so far?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, certainly the players are. It's a lot more of a relaxed tour than perhaps we've been used to in the past. United have made sure that they've got a set training base in Chicago instead of kind of moving around from city to city, which the players don't really like. They've had quite a long stay in Chicago. The hotel that they're in is right in the city centre. The players have been allowed out to shops and coffee shops in the evening after training, which obviously they quite enjoy, having that opportunity to get out of the hotel and see parts of the city. You can see Bruno Fernandes there throwing out the first pitch at a White Sox game. So obviously a lot of hard work being done on the training pitch, a lot of kind of ground to make up after what happened last season. But in terms of the players, the management, the club bosses have tried to make it kind of quite a relaxed camp, make sure the players are enjoying it, make sure they're as well prepared for the new season as possible.
What are you thinking about Bruno Fernandes there?
Well, one, no wind-up on the pitching style. I suppose I don't blame him. I'm not guessing Bruno Fernandes played a lot of baseball in Portugal, but you cannot bounce it. Priority number one, you cannot bounce this ball. Oh no. Well, but the good thing is not a whole lot of people watching the White Sox games these days because the White Sox are terrible.
Yes, and one thing we do know is Bruno Fernandes is definitely a lot better at football. Let's put the focus on Arsenal now, particularly on the 15-year-old that we just got to see there, Max Taumann, 15 years old. The only other player we're talking about playing at 15 years old recently has been Lamine Yamal. Tell us about this player, Jules. He's looking special.
Yeah, very special. I mean, to the point that it feels a bit bad to talk about such a young player, really, and mention his name, but this is how good he is, and it's crazy. And not just today, but we saw him last season for the Arsenal fans who've watched the under-18s or the reserve teams. Although he was only 14, 15, he was still playing 4 years above at times, 5 years above against people way older than him, and skinning them every single time. I mean, I've seen him grown at the academy. He was a really good player when he was a bit younger, but in the last 2 years, he's grown in size already because he's 15, but he's 6 foot already. But also in terms of his influence on the game, that left foot, the fact that the ball is glued to his feet, and even in decision making, he's getting better and better. There was a time in some youth teams where maybe he was dribbling a little bit too much because things were too easy for him. Now, and we saw that certainly today, where he knows exactly when to stop the dribbling, when to pass. His awareness all around is great. His passing, even 1 touch, 2 touches, is very good. And he needs to keep growing, but he won't be able to play until he's 16, obviously, with the first team in an official game, and that will come in December. There's also obviously talk around his new contract, but he's an incredible talent.
Jules, has there been any talk about whether we may see him in the Premier League in the upcoming season then?
Yeah, I think that's very much the plan. He's part of the first team squad now. He will be given a number, I believe, and then until he's 16, as we said, until not before December for sure. And then after that, it will be down to Mikel Arteta, who we know because we saw that with Ethan Nwaneri, who started with the first team, made his debut at 16 away at Brentford a couple of years ago. That it's very much something that Mikel Arteta can do, will do, has done before, is happy to do. If the player is good enough, then there's no age. You know, as Kylian Mbappé used to say, if you're good enough, you're old enough. There's no problem whether you're 16, 17 or 18. So I really expect, if everything goes well, that we will see him in the second half of the season.
Saka, how do you manage this, a 15-year-old with this talent?
I think that's inevitably the challenge. Now, of course, we've seen young, talented players come through. There's a roller coaster to those performances. Burst on these scenes as Daumann has, and he's not the first, I'm sure won't be the last. Then there's a dip in form, then a rise again, and it's how you manage that as a manager, and that's a job for Arteta. I'm not seeing anything new here. I'm not seeing anything that we didn't see about Lamine Yamal a couple of years ago. How you manage those ups and downs, how you manage some of the disappointments in the league, and how you encourage that player to continue to play naturally as he sees it, but while at the same time appreciating everything that's around you. Because in pre-season is one thing, in the Premier League, in games that matters, it's a completely different, it's a different learning curve. But to have this kind of talent at your disposal, coming at your disposal, is a wonderful option to have. And it's a different side of management. As much as we talk about Arteta as being a good manager, it's a different side of man management when you're managing players this young. How can you get the best out of them? Certainly in the long term. The other aspect to this, and Stuart Robson would attest to it, is the burnout that comes with being that young and playing in a league this intense, and how that takes a toll on a still developing body. There's a lot more aspects to this than you expect with anybody else.
But if you wanted to feel old, Shaq, and we don't need to do that, right?
No, I don't need much of a push, but
No,
carry
no,
on.
no. This guy was born in 2009, Shaq. It's one thing when you hear that he's 15 years old, but when you actually see date of birth, 2009.
Almost 2010, because it was like 31st of December.
We're talking about the World Cup 2010 in South Africa, Shaq. and we talk about these things as if it was yesterday, and it was yesterday, which brings me to the second point. It's funny to hear Jules talking about Max Daumann. Well, you know, when he was in the youth teams, he was dribbling too much. Well, the youth team was what? A year ago? 2 years ago? It's ridiculous. It really is to see a kid. He is a kid to come out and play as well as he has and as he did, particularly in this game. And so it gets to the point to where, at least for me, the priority would be if I were him and the people around him, what do I need to do in order to gain the trust, the respect and appreciation of the players around me, of the veteran players, of the players that have been around for a long time? And those are the guys that can really help me grow and mature. But in order for them to extend their hand to help me, to grow, to mature as a professional, they have to respect me and they have to appreciate me. And the way that you do that is the work that you put every day. But the other way that you do that is coming off the bench and doing some of the things that he did today. Those things will garner respect within the locker room, regardless of whether you're 15, 30, 35, 45, whatever the case may be. When you're able to have an impact on the game, that's a huge step forward. And the more you do that, the more you become appreciated and beloved in the locker room.
To your point, Shaka, what were you doing at 15? Not that.
To Ali's point, that was a long time ago.
Yes.
No, I've been thinking. I have no idea. What did anybody do back then? I was living my life in high school.
Yes. Not that. Not what he's doing.
Definitely wasn't that.
Not that. Viktor Gyokers, we got to see Jules. On a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you that he can replicate his form that we've seen in Portugal at Arsenal?
It's hard to tell. I mean, the first thing is the excitement amongst Arsenal fans that they finally signed him and that he will be able to join up with the team. As we saw, he's already there on that pre-season tour in Southeast Asia, and then we will get to see him at some point very soon with that number 14. That's great. For the rest, there's obviously a lot of things here. The first thing is the Portuguese league is not as good as the Premier League, obviously. Sporting was playing in a different way, especially under Ruben Amorim than Mikel Arteta plays with Arsenal. But he knows English football, he speaks the language, which is very good. He's obviously been in the Premier League or around the Premier League and then in the Championship, obviously, where he made a real name for himself at Coventry before going to Portugal. He's that kind of striker that I think if you give him the right service, will score goals and goals and goals. So the adaptation is probably not as big as if he was a defensive midfielder like a Zubimendi, who will need to learn a lot of things in the Arteta style of football, maybe more than Gyokers. It's a different profile to Kai Havertz. We said that too before on Friday night show. But yeah, it's impossible to say if he's going to score another 50 goals in a year or 40 or 30. I said 30 on Friday. Stevie was a little bit lower. It depends. But the one thing we know for sure is that he will have to hit the ground running straight away. Arsenal can't afford to have him needing 6 months to adapt. They need him to score now. He doesn't have to score 3 goals a game, but he will have to be good now, because otherwise, by the time he becomes good enough, they might be too far away from a Liverpool, a City, a Chelsea, or whoever are in front of them in the league. So they need him to perform as quickly as possible.
Just a logistic question here. For the record, was there a number there from Jules or not?
A scale of 1 to 10?
Yeah, a scale of 1 to 10. Was there an actual
Should we
number?
push him?
Well, I think so. I don't want to tell you how to do your job, Kate, but I think maybe we should.
Go on then, Jules. We're pushing you. 1 to 10.
I'm 7 out of 10 confident that he will be almost as good as in sports.
Okay. You know who's not going to be happy though, Ale?
Who's that?
We've done some digging. You know the set piece coach.
Oh.
Arsenal.
Superstar.
Yeah, well, we decided to take a look at the last 2 seasons in League and UEFA competitions at Sporting.
Oh.
And there has only been 1 header.
Oh.
2 headers, sorry. In 2 seasons, 0 last season.
Oh.
Is this a cause for concern? This is a 6'2" striker.
Uh-huh. Well, let's not forget that we're talking about this on July 27th. So this is the July 27th special, and we're trying to figure out what Viktor Gyokers is going to be for Arsenal, and how do these goals from Sporting translate into goals at Arsenal. Part of doing that is seeing what his skill set is, and you cannot argue against the numbers. The numbers are what they are. That is obviously not good productivity, being a header of the ball. It doesn't show that he is dominant in the air. And if we talk about a team that has depended heavily on the set piece coach and the delivery of such set pieces from guys like Declan Rice and Martin Odegaard, they will depend on Viktor Gyokers getting on the end of that service, which usually is with his head. If we follow this whole thought process, that number that you just shared with us, Kay, and thank you for doing the research, is damaging. It's damaging evidence. I don't think it says everything that we need to know about Viktor Gyokers, but it's certainly something that points to an area of concern.
There's no big issue.
All on my own, without Shaka's algorithm. There's no issue?
No, I'll tell you why. Because I think Arsenal set pieces, Gabriel is still the main actor. Everybody else is playing supporting roles in Arsenal's.
Right, nice little analogy there.
So as a result, he's there again, not to lead in terms of Arsenal converting set pieces. He's there to pick up the pieces from the set pieces.
Oh, see, you started well with your analogies, and then
I thought I finished strong.
No.
I thought you laughed.
I wonder, is Jules staying at 7.5 after hearing the stats?
I got it sent today. But again, we talked about the way Sporting played, especially under Ruben Amorim. There was not too many crosses in the air. Set pieces was not their thing. So you can look at it that way. I'm sure Nicolas Jover, who is the set piece coach, the magician, will improve Viktor Gyokers. And I think Xhaka is right too. I think he might be there just to block people and to be a nuisance for goalkeepers and defenders and let others who are maybe better in the air than him score the goals like Gabriel Magalhaes. So we'll see, but I'm not too worried about that.
Let me just say, for the center forward union, which I don't talk about all that often, but if I'm a 6'2" center forward and there are services coming into the box, the last thing I'm thinking about is setting picks for somebody else. No. My job is to score goals. And I'm big enough, tall enough, and strong enough to win headers. So while that may be the role of others at Arsenal, my role, if I'm Viktor Gyokers, is to go and attack the ball. Never mind setting picks or getting on the way of goalkeepers and such.
He's setting.
What? You bought a guy this expensive to set picks?
He's setting picks. I guarantee.
Can I just tell you? I used to set picks. That's why you use people like me. People like me that have no chance of scoring. You set picks, Alejandro. Viktor Gyokers was not, should not, and will not be setting picks.
Premier League teams back in action now in the summer series, and we will talk about the game between Arsenal and Newcastle in just a moment and bring you what happened in that game. But of course, all the talk afterwards to Eddie Howe was, where is Alexander Isak? And this is what he had to say.
Just a quick one on Isak's situation. Is there any update? Are you thinking about flying him out here at any point?
No, nothing's changed.
And just to clarify on Alex, is there any chance that he joins you out in Korea or here?
No.
Was pretty firm there. No and no. Jules, he's going to Liverpool, isn't he?
I don't know if he's going to Liverpool, but he's been very clear with the club in the last few days with Newcastle that he wants to leave. And I don't know if we can talk about forcing a move, but it certainly feels like that. You saw the face of Eddie Howe. He knew the questions was coming, and the answers are very obvious. He said no, he doesn't want to be out there, he doesn't want to be with Newcastle, he didn't want to take part in the Arsenal game, in the Arsenal friendly game today. He doesn't want to join them, he doesn't want to play for them anymore, which is an incredible situation really when you think about, we're talking about one of the best number 9s in the world. Whether he goes to Liverpool or somewhere else, we don't know yet. We talked about it about him going to Liverpool 2 days ago. Can they afford him to start with? Where would he play? Like what do you do with Ekitike and Wirtz and etc. etc. So even to Liverpool is not that easy and not that simple. But I just hope for Alexander Isak that he's got another option than Liverpool, because if it doesn't happen to Liverpool, it will be very strange if he has to come back to Newcastle.
Now, Shaka, this is nothing to do with me bringing this up now, because the Newcastle manager himself, Eddie Howe, has been forced to discuss it once again. This is not my doing.
Too late. Too late, Kay.
It may not be her doing, but she seems to be enjoying it.
Bro, she's way too much. It's too late, Kay. The damage is already done. Listen, you understand Eddie Howe's position, or certainly how Curtis' answers were, kind of given the situation and the importance of Alexander Isak to Newcastle United. The amazing thing to this is, listen, it's nothing new about players wanting to move clubs, especially with this kind of interest, especially when you're talking about clubs like Liverpool, defending English champions, that list of favourites to win the Champions League. It makes an incredible amount of sense. But this just seemed to happen quickly and escalate even more so. In that, normally, these things kind of drag out a bit in terms of if I'm Alexander Isak and you have this interest, there's some suggestion, well, there's a new contract or some kind of negotiation going on with the existing club. And while Newcastle do not hold the pedigree or certainly the ceiling of a Liverpool football club, financially, they want to be able to compete, or you think they can or should be able to. But even that has not kind of materialized. So I understand Eddie Howe's kind of position, if his body language is, if I may be so bold, is to be understood correctly, that this is kind of come as a very sudden blow, and there's no stopping this at this point, which from a Newcastle perspective, of course, is disappointing.
To Jules's point, if it doesn't materialise a move to Liverpool, which is very much assumed what he's pushing for and what he wants, that's a problem for Newcastle and the player, right?
Yeah, it could be. Up until he shows up the first game of the season, scores a couple of goals, and then, hey, one of ours. He's been one of ours the whole time. Nothing to see here. Newcastle are in a position in which now they're just reacting to whatever Isak wants to do. And that's a very uncomfortable place to be if you're a club, because as now the window advances, you're wanting to see, okay, if indeed he's gonna go, we need to have a contingency plan. We need to have something to react and time enough in this window to be able to react and replenish our team. You're not gonna get the same level of player of Alexander Isak, but how do you go about addressing his potential absence? But you cannot address his potential absence if you don't have the funds available. And when does that become available? When he gets purchased by, in this case, Liverpool. And so it's a very uncomfortable position to be as a club. It's an even more uncomfortable position to be as a manager, because you're having to placate the media and you're having to answer these questions time and time again. Are you really having direct conversations with the player? At this point, probably not. And so you're depending on all sorts of things that are out of your hands. And yet, when that first game comes around in the Premier League season, Eddie Howe is expected to put a competitive team on the field with or without Alexander Isak. As for the fans, they may be hurt right now, but if Isak is part of Newcastle, first match of the season, and he goes on, as I mentioned earlier, to score the goals that he was able to score last season, forgive and forget, because you're fortunate, you should consider yourself fortunate, Shaq, as a Newcastle fan, that indeed you were able to keep this player, whatever the circumstances may have been.
Welcome into the latest edition of ESPN FC. I'm Dan Thomas, joined in the studio today by Ali Renault and Stevie Nicol. Later on in the programme, we'll talk about Liverpool in crisis already. Despite all that big spending, they were thrashed by Milan earlier today. We'll be reflecting on what that means at the start of the season. But we'll kick things off with news that Arsenal have been waiting to hear from for a while. Viktor Gyokers is officially an Arsenal player, making that switch from Portugal to London. It's 63 million euros plus add-ons as well. Of course, a man who just tore up the Portuguese league, goal scoring for fun last season, has made that move, and he becomes the fourth biggest transfer in Arsenal's history. Declan Rice, Pepe and Kai Havertz, 1, 2 and 3. For more on this, Gab Marcotti joins us. We'll hear from Gab in a moment. But Stevie, What sort of game changer is this for Arsenal with regards to their title hopes?
I think this absolutely puts them in the race to win the title. They've definitely taken a step forward getting this guy. What they needed was somebody who was basically a penalty box predator. That is what they needed. They've needed it for probably more than 2 or 3 years, and they finally got it. You know, a guy who doesn't really want to be involved outside the box. He doesn't really want to go and be a link-up player. He can do that if he needs to, but he doesn't want to do that. He wants to score goals. He wants to be in the penalty box, putting the ball in the back of the net. Exactly what they've needed. Now they've got it.
Where does it put them in regards to Liverpool in that title race?
Well, just below Liverpool, but very much in the conversation, very much in the picture. And so in terms of numbers, and you just mentioned that he tore up the Portuguese league, La Primera Liga. 39 goal score domestically. How does that translate into EPL numbers? Well, we don't know that. But for sake of argument and sake of comparison, and we're going to have to compare, because if we're talking about Arsenal being in the picture with Liverpool, well, the leading goal scorer in the Premier League last year domestically was Mohamed Salah with 29 goals. So somehow we need to project that 39 goals in Portugal, it's equals to 29 goals in the Premier League. But if indeed that's a projection, and if indeed it ends up working out that way for Arsenal, where Gyokers is scoring that number of goals, or somewhere in the picture where he's competitive with Mohamed Salah, where he's competitive with Erling Haaland, then Arsenal are very much in the conversation, and should be very much in the conversation.
But Gab, we know how much you and Jules love Kai Havertz. There's been plenty of Gab and Jules shows where you've waxed lyrical about him, how he's not given enough credit, how he plays the way that Arteta wants to play this game. Gyokers, a very different beast. What does this mean for Arsenal's tactics then going forward?
Well, I think overall it means broadly two things, and I think they both very clearly revolve around Mikel Arteta. First of all, it means that Arteta's gone in, because when you sign somebody, he's pushed the chips to the middle of the table. When you sign somebody who's 27 years old, for that much money to play this role, you're saying, okay, the future is now. We're going to go in. You know, we've had the youngest team in the Premier League for a while now, or one of the youngest teams. Now this is kind of the piece of the puzzle, and there's no escaping. This is a gamble. This is a person who really hasn't done it in a top league. With all due respect to Portugal, so you have to take a bit of a flight of fancy. He's also a guy who's a late developer as well, right? Because, you know, he was at Coventry and then Sporting before that. He struggled to have an impact at Brighton. So in that sense, you're saying, all right, we're pushing our chips into the table and we want to win now. At the same time, though, I think it also shows from Arteta's perspective, hey, Mikel Arteta can change his mind. Because it wasn't that long ago that he thought that Kai Havertz, not only was Kai Havertz going to be the answer at center forward, and for me personally, I think he still could have been, although he certainly needed help, but he believed in Kai Havertz so much that, you know, he let Nketiah go. He didn't go into the season with a reserve center forward, unless you believe Gabriel Jesus is that man, which I think nobody believes. When Jesus got hurt, they didn't sign a backup for Havertz in January, and then we know what happened. Havertz got hurt too. So we're showing that Arteta is saying, like, all right, I believed this before, now I believe something else. I don't have a problem with it at all. I think it's a sign of intelligence when you can change your mind, when you can react to situations, and it's a sign of humility as well. But it certainly is a major change in direction, and it is a lot of money, and it says a lot about where you're putting your resources right now, that you're putting it into this profile of player, rather than something else, especially, of course, when you've got the Saliba situation and the Ethan Ranieri situation to deal with as well.
How much is what happened to Arsenal last season forced his hand in this?
100%. I think Gab's been very kind to Arteta. You know, I would have expected Jules to say what Gab just said. I mean, let's be honest, he's been forced into it. People have been talking about the centre forward position for at least 2 years. At least 2 years. And now, having fobbed all the people like us and other coaches and anybody who you wanted to talk about with Arsenal, everybody said the same thing. And he said, no, I know better. Well, up until now, he hasn't known better, and he's been forced into this. So I'm not giving him huge amounts of credit, to be honest.
Right.
I don't think he had a choice.
The narrative has also changed from the perspective of Mikel Arteta, in that earlier this week he was talking about how there would be 9 teams competing for the title.
Yeah, right.
That he's already deflecting, and let's talk about that group, that team. Don't focus on us. You make this sort of investment, you make this sort of signing, the attention is gonna be on Arsenal whether he wants it or not. If indeed, as Gab just said and alluded to it, if indeed you're pushing all the chips to the middle, well, that's because you're willing to play it for everything, for all. You're willing to lose it all, you're risking it all. And if you're gonna risk it all, you're not gonna risk it all behind 8 other teams, allow them to take the pressure. No, you wanna be in the conversation, you wanna be in the dance, then assume the role of one of the front runners in this league. And they are gonna have to be. Arsenal are good enough to be at the front of this league and at the top of this league, but now it's a matter of delivering on the field with decisions made by the coach and the execution made by the players.
Is that Arsenal done now when it comes to the transfers, Gab?
Well, I would have thought you need to move some players out now, because if you're just looking at resources in terms of starter money, right, and who expects to start, if you just look at in midfield, for example, right? You signed Zubimendi for a reason. He's going to be your anchor in midfield, you think. That leaves 2 spots, assuming they play 4-3-3. You've got Martin Odegaard, who's your team captain, and you have Declan Rice, who was arguably your best player last year, right? But then somewhere, if Gyokers is going to play center forward, you're going to want to fit in Kai Havertz. You've also spent a lot of money on Mikel Merino, too. Havertz is on starter money. He costs you starter money. You have to find a way to integrate him. So I wouldn't be surprised now if they start moving some guys out. Obviously, they picked up Madueke already on the wing. I don't know if Madueke's, presumably he's there to compete for a job as a left wing, even though he mostly played on the right at Chelsea, because Arsenal's right winger is pretty good, right? Bukayo Saka. I think the priority now has got to be lock up Saliba and Manieri for the foreseeable future. Otherwise, you would expect some adjustments.
Yeah, but Gab, you mentioned the likes of Merino and Havertz. They're not going anywhere, though.
Okay, so how happy is Havertz going to be in this situation? I mean, Kai Havertz
who's
is
paying
like,
what do we say in that graphic? 70 million? Like, no one's paying that for Kai Havertz now.
No, but through the magic of amortization, young Dan, you know that after 2 years at Arsenal, you're looking at maybe 50 million, 55 million. You can get that money back. He is on big wages. It's not easy. But Kai Havertz, when fit, leaving aside is he a striker, is he not a striker, whatever, he's a pressing machine.
He's not 50 million worth, though. No one's paying 50 million for Kai Havertz, Gab.
I'm sorry. I can think of... All right, put it this way. If I were Manchester United, instead of screwing around with Mateus Cunha and Mbeumo, if you've got that position with the 2 jokers behind the center forward, I would put Kai Havertz in there in a heartbeat.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure he'll buy his own ticket to go to Manchester United at the moment.
Well, I think Kai Havertz has a market. He's likely to start for Germany at the World Cup. I mean, it's not like all of a sudden, because Kai Havertz has been injured for 4 months, it's not like Kai Havertz becomes some sort of bird dropping or something that you just want to get rid of, right? But I think at some point, they have to figure a way back. Martinelli's another guy who's been linked with a move. I would assume they'd want to rebalance a little bit, rebalance the squad, and also get some money back into, back onto the balance sheet.
Hi Mikel. First North London derby outside of the UK tomorrow. It's still pre-season, but how would you approach the game?
Well, a great idea. I think to bring football tradition a rivalry, but at the same time to do it in a completely different country, I think it's brilliant. I think it's an opportunity for everybody to feel that, and for us as well, because for our preparation increases the competition level again, and it brings a different challenge to the game, and then we're gonna be so lucky to play in this incredible stadium with 50,000 people that I'm sure they're gonna be super loud and passionate.
And a question for Martin as well. You broke into senior football really young yourself. You're captain here, and in the touring squad you've got two 15-year-olds, Max Dowman and Marley Salmon. Are you taking on a mentorship role? There probably can't be many players that are better placed to give advice.
Yeah, I think, to be fair, I think the whole squad is really good in this way to help the young players, and as you say, with those two, they're so young, you know, and yeah, so much quality. So I think myself, I just try to share my experience, you know, guide them in the right direction, help them to keep the right mindset, because you can see that the quality is obviously there. So yeah, just trying to help them, you know, to have the right mindset and to help them feel good, you know, in the team, and to kind of let them shine and do their thing. So, and they've been amazing on this tour, and yeah, you can all see the quality. So so yeah, it'll be exciting to see in the future.
Hi, Mikel. Can I just ask you for updates on a few individuals? We obviously saw Viktor today with the team. Where's he at in his preparation, and does he have a chance for the game?
Yes, I understand. He's only done today's session, yesterday very little. We're going to assess tonight how he is. If the medical staff are happy as well with his condition to participate in tomorrow's match, is a possibility. We're going to discuss that tonight, and with the rest, everybody is going to be okay, apart from Big Gabby that is still out, and probably Ricky that's going to be a bit too early for him tomorrow.
And Martin, can I just ask a quick one to you? Obviously, Viktor's with the squad now. What are the attributes that he brings, and as a creative player, that you're particularly looking forward to playing with next season?
Yeah, I think you've all seen what he's done, you know, in his career so far, and yeah, especially the last season at Sporting, you know, the numbers speak for themselves. But he's a very complete player, you know. He's physical, strong, fast, good finisher, and intelligent as well. So I think he's a very complete striker, and you can also see the hunger, you know, the energy he brings. So yeah, really excited to have him with the team, and he's only trained a few times, but you can already see, you know, the quality and the energy and the willingness, you know. So yeah, excited to share the pitch with him.
Hi, Mikel. Last week you mentioned that you felt short when it came to the squad depth. With the announcement of Viktor Gyokers, do you still feel that sentiment, firstly? And secondly, what more is needed if you do feel that way?
Well, I said that I was extremely happy with the way that we have approached the window and how aggressive we've been, and there's still a long period still with the window open. So far we are very happy with what we have achieved. Make sure that at the end of the window we continue to be super happy.
We saw that you wrote a letter to him, which he read in the car on the way. Can you just give us an idea of how you've settled him in? Have you had a chance to really spend any time with him yet? You know, at the hotel or anywhere?
Yeah, obviously with the language and everything, it's a bit easier for me to help him. You know, we can speak our own language, and Scandinavians, they always bond well together. So in that way, it's been really natural, you know. And but to be fair, it's like with any player. Every new player, we try to help them in the best possible way, and that's what I felt when I came here. I felt at home straight away, and I felt how good the culture and the environment was to get into, you know, and everyone just want to help you and get the best out of you, and then it's important also how you do things off the pitch, and I think that's what we all do, so we're just there to help, and so far he's having a good time, I think.
Thank you. And Mikel, he took the number 14 shirt, which obviously has a history to it with Thierry. I mean, what does it sort of say about his mindset that he doesn't seem concerned about that?
I use the word conviction, and that's the first thing that I noticed when I spoke to him. You know, someone very determined, someone that was really already attached to the club, the way he was talking about the club, the history, in this case, Thierry, and what the shirt represented. And yeah, yesterday I felt it, so when you feel it, go for it.
Hi, Martin. Just to follow up on that, when you join a new club, everyone talks about the relevance and importance of numbers, but do they matter? Does it matter what number you have as long as you kind of play your own way in that number?
With the shirt number, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's different to every player. I think some player would say it's really important and others they don't care. But I think some players, they have a, what can I say, special feeling about a certain number and might be important, but yeah, I don't think it's the most important thing. But for some players it might be give them an extra good feeling, you know, to play with a certain number, but for me it doesn't matter too much.
Hi, Mikel. This is Michael from Sports from Hong Kong. So first of all, you were in the squad when the team last visited Hong Kong. So do you remember anything that is same as 13 years ago or different from that time?
Well, there are similarities. Obviously, the city's changed a lot.
Matchday is effectively
one more time here. So very impressive. The most impressive thing again is our supporters. How passionate they are, the way they ask things. They are so emotional. They spend so much time outside the hotel. I think the way they received the team, it was incredible yesterday, and it must feel that all this trip is worth it because I think people deserve here to enjoy the team as well.
So, and Thomas Frank yesterday said Arsenal is one of the best team in the world. So, how do you feel on Tottenham this season, especially after they have a new manager? Thank you.
Well, that's great to hear that from someone like Frank, especially, which I respect immensely. And within on the Spurs, I think tomorrow, we're going to start to see the direction that he's going to take with the team, implement his vision, his philosophy, and we just need to be focused on what we want to do, what we want to achieve, and I'm sure it's going to be a great game.
Hi, Mikel. This whole experience, training in front of thousands of people, playing a friendly in front of 50,000 people, is that going to give Viktor a very early insight into the size of the club he's joined? And it sounds like you would back him to handle the pressure and expectation that is going to be on him.
I think it already has, because when the news broke and then you realize the magnitude of the club that you're going to be representing and how viral everything goes so fast in these days, I think his immediate reaction was wow. And then he sees, the way we were received again yesterday, the training session that we just had with 20,000 people, the stadium, it was sold out in 2 hours, and 50,000 people playing that incredible stadium tomorrow. So, I think you're going to have a very good first impression, that's for sure.
Just ask Martin for a player's view on playing such a high-profile game as a pre-season friendly. Would you potentially prefer to be able to warm up out of sight of people and prepare quietly, or are you happy to play with a spotlight on you?
No, I love it, and I think we all do. I think we're all excited, to play in front of so many supporters, and as Mikel said here, we really felt that love and the connection here, and it's been a while since we've played this type of game, so I think that's what we all want. And for me, it's a good thing that we get a proper test and something that means a little bit more, with the derby. So I think we're all just really excited and eager to play.
Hi, Martin. RHK from Hong Kong. And how you feel about the Hong Kong fans and also the atmosphere of the stadium? And also, what do you expect for the derby game tomorrow with Tottenham?
I think the support and the reception we've had here has been amazing. Yesterday we arrived at the hotel and it was people everywhere and shirts everywhere, and we really felt that love, when we came, and today in the stadium around 20,000 people to come and watch us train, and game tomorrow sold out, so we really feel that, and it's really special, and it's amazing to travel so far and still feel that, so something we really appreciate, and it means a lot to us, to make people happy and make people enjoy football, so that's really good.
One more question for Mikel. And with a successful window this summer, and so what will be the goals of Arsenal in the next seasons?
Well, do better than the previous one, and we all know what that means. So again, I think everything starts with the preparation in terms of how we build the squad, in terms of how ready the team is going to be to start to compete from day one, and everything that we've seen so far, the feeling that I get straight away is very, very positive.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
.999% certain. I couldn't possibly say the same in respect of Morecambe.
So it's almost as if owners don't really have a plan beyond. They don't have an exit plan when they buy the thing. They don't think, if you buy a yacht, then you think, well, if I get fed up with it, then spend all that money on it, but somebody will buy it off.
Midfield trio, he goes up against his former manager, Thomas Frank, of course, following his both departures from Brentford. Declan Rice starts in the middle of the three, with the captain, Martin Odegaard, on the right-hand side. Three further forward, Bukayo Saka and Gabriel Martinelli will supply the necessary width, with Kai Havertz through the middle for the Gunners. And as for Spurs, Thomas Frank has opted for a strong lineup. Guillermo Vicario is in goal, taking his place on the right. Lucas Bergvall will play in the number 10 role, with Richarlison, the Brazilian, leading the Spurs line. So we are... Saka now to send the ball in for Mikel Arteta's men. Interestingly, Kepa Arrizabalaga on the bench for the Gunners. We're expecting him to start this encounter, but that is not the case. The ball is whipped in by Bukayo Saka, headed up in the air by Richarlison, and then helped on its way again. This time, Tottenham managed to clear the ball downfield, but it's chased down by Declan Rice, who plays it all the way back to David Raya, who then sends it forward. Opportunity for Ben White, who goes down under the challenge of Wilson Odobert, and Arsenal quickly get proceedings back underway. This is Odegaard down the right-hand side, lays the ball off to Bukayo Saka to the right of the Tottenham area. Now a first touch for the Dane Christian Norgard, out to Ben White. White again, this time on to William Saliba. Now Norgard. Saliba again. Plays it out to the right-hand side, and now space for Martin Odegaard, who's bundled off the ball by Lucas Bergvall, but Arsenal win it back and come forward. Now space for Declan Rice down the left-hand side, but he's muscled out of it in the end, and Tottenham look to get the ball clear, but Arsenal managed to win it back. It's a lively start, this at the Kaitak Stadium. This is Bukayo Saka to the right of the Tottenham area. Looks to dink the ball in, and it comes off Jed Spence on the way, and it will be another corner to Arsenal, as Mikel Arteta is deep in conversation with Albert Stuvenberg. So another corner to Arsenal. Chance now for the ball to be played into the area. Chance from the right-hand side, and it will be Bukayo Saka again to send the ball in from the left, and a chance now from the corner. It's played in, and this time it's headed just wide of the target. It was a really good opportunity that Martin Odegaard had sent the ball on, and it bounces out for a goal kick. But it's fair to say the Gunners have started really bright here in Hong Kong. Tottenham finding it rather difficult to get out as things stand, and it will be a goal kick now to Spurs, who can breathe a sigh of relief, really. Martin Odegaard's unhappy with himself as he didn't quite get the required contact he would have wanted. It was an audacious ball in that by Bukayo Saka, headed straight into the path of Martin Odegaard on his left foot, and rather hit the ball down into the turf, and it took a nick on the head of William Saliba and drifted wide of the target. So the goal kick, which will be fired downfield now by Vicario, and now helped on, and Spurs look to come forward, and there's an opportunity down the right-hand side for Sarr, who then looks to play the ball in, but David Raya manages to gather it and immediately send the ball into the path of Christian Norgard in the centre circle for Arsenal. Now over halfway inside the Spurs half, lays the ball out to the left-hand side. This is a chance for Lewis Skelly. Decides to play it all the way back to William Saliba in the centre circle within the Spurs half. The Arsenal number 2 this time plays the ball out to the left-hand side, and then it's helped on its way back out to Lewis Skelly down the left flank. This time recycled once more, all the way back to William Saliba, who chips it over to the right-hand side. Chested down now to Bukayo Saka to the right of the Spurs 18-yard area. Now Ben White lays the ball off to William Saliba. Now back out to Martin Odegaard on his left foot. Now Ben White crosses it in. Headed down, and this time it will be watched comfortably out of play at the back there, and out for a Tottenham goal kick. 5 minutes gone at the Kaitak Stadium. Arsenal 0, Tottenham 0. You're listening to Flash Score, bringing you this live audio commentary of this not so friendly pre-season encounter between both the Gunners and Spurs. But it's been a bright start this by Arsenal, as Spurs play the ball out from the back down their right-hand side. Immediately played long in the end by Pedro Porro, looking to pick out a Spurs body down that Tottenham right flank, but it's won back by Arsenal, who look to come forward. This is a chance now for William Saliba. Lays the ball out to the left-hand side, and a chance for Ben White, who will play it all the way back to William Saliba. Now infield it goes, and fired out to the left by Christian Norgard. Arsenal seeing plenty of the ball. In these opening exchanges of this contest. They look to push forward again. All fired forward up towards Bukayo Saka, and this time Spurs managed to fire it away. This is Miles Lewis-Skelly. Can look to bring the ball in field. And then fired downfield by David Raya, and it's a good take that by Gabriel Martinelli. Now a chance for Arsenal and a chance for an effort at goal, and Christian Norgard it was on the turn. He laid the ball out to Kai Havertz, who goes down, who's looking towards the referee, wanting a penalty. It didn't look much of a challenge in the end. The referee not interested, and the flag was up anyway, involving Kai Havertz. So it will be a chance and an opportunity for Tottenham to play the ball downfield. Thomas Frank just saying to Vicario that he would like the ball going down, but it is eventually fired long, and Richarlison battling for it. An opportunity now for Spurs out to the left-hand side. This is Wilson Odobert. Looks to play the ball across. It comes off a Arsenal body in the end, and it goes out for what will be a corner to Spurs. Their first of the game, which will be taken from their left-hand side to the right of the Arsenal 18-yard area. So defending to do here for the Gunners. Arsenal have seen plenty of the ball in these opening 9 minutes at the Kaitak Stadium, but a first opportunity from the set piece for Thomas Frank's Tottenham. It will be a corner which will be taken by Pedro Porro. And an opportunity to send the ball in to the area. Pedro Porro about to take this corner, wearing the armband for Spurs, sends the ball in, and this time it comes off the post and headed down by Richarlison. Question marks there over David Raya, but the ball evaded everybody in the end, and it came off the back post, and thankfully for Arsenal, was clear of their goal before Richarlison could head home. But what a chance it was for Spurs and Thomas Frank to take an early lead. Warning signs there for Arsenal, who now play the ball out from the back. Managed to chest it down, and space now for Bukayo Saka just within Spurs territory, but the ball is taken away from him by Matasaru. Goes down under a challenge and wins a free kick. Martin Odegaard unhappy with the referee's decision, but the free kick has been quickly taken. Spurs push forward now with Lucas Bergvall. Now a chance for Jed Spence into the centre to Bentancur, the Uruguayan. Now linking up with Lucas Bergvall. Of course, don't forget Arsenal as well, with plenty of options on their bench. The likes of Viktor Gyokers, who could make his unofficial debut. And of course, there's the likes of Marley Salmon and 15-year-old Max Dowman. Two terrific young stars, up-and-coming talents for Arsenal, as Tottenham have the ball in the centre circle. Out to the left-hand side it goes. This is Jed Spence. Forward, and now an opportunity For the ball to be played across, it's kept alive by Sarr in the end, and this time he comes off a Arsenal body. It will be a corner to Tottenham, which Pedro Porro will take. Chance now for the ball to be whipped in, which is quickly taken and immediately rolled out by David Raya, and Arsenal come forward down the left-hand side here. This is Declan Rice, and it's out of play for what will be a throw-in to Tottenham down their right-hand side. The former West Ham United midfielder, of course, Declan Rice, couldn't keep the ball in. Still Arsenal 0, Tottenham 0 in this pre-season friendly. No goals as of yet. Still Arsenal 0, Tottenham 0. Opportunity now for Pedro Porro at the throw-in. Just asking his players to move further forward. The like Hong Sung-min is not involved from the start for Spurs this afternoon, and Arsenal managed to win the ball back following that Spurs throw-in. Lucas Bergvall looking to win it back for Thomas Frank's men, but Tottenham do eventually regain the ball and possession. This is Vicario from just outside his 6-yard area, plays the ball short out from the back, and then Tottenham look to play it forward. They managed to keep the ball in, and this time fire it forward out from the back up towards Richarlison, and this time fired forward by David Raya, who wins it for Arsenal, but was looking to pick out Bukayo Saka, but the flag has been raised. So it will be a free kick to Tottenham. Still Arsenal 0, Tottenham 0. Listening to Flash Score, bringing you this pre-season friendly of this North London derby between both Arsenal and Tottenham from the Kai Tak Stadium in Hong Kong, as Tottenham take the free kick following that offside from Bukayo Saka. Fired long this time by Vicario. Won back by William Saliba though for Arsenal, and kept in this time by Ben White down the right-hand side. Looks to feed the ball through. No free kick, says the referee. Declan Rice went down, and Tottenham win it through Bentancur. Now out to the right-hand side to Sarr. Good build-up play by Spurs. Chance now for the ball to be played across by Pedro Porro. Back to it goes to Porro once more. Spurs pushing forward. And managed to collect it through Sarr. Over to the right-hand side it goes. This is Pedro Porro again. Chance perhaps for a cross into the area, but it's won back by Tottenham, who this time have a chance to play the ball downfield. This is Van der Ven. Out to the left-hand side it goes. Chance for Wilson Odobert perhaps, and free kick, a throw-in I should say. Mikel Arteta unhappy at that decision, but the throw-in has got in the way of Tottenham, and they quickly get proceedings back underway. Send the ball forward into the feet of Sarr. This time it's back to the Dutchman Van der Ven, over to the left-hand side. Space now for Spurs. And Jed Spence. Now a chance for Odobert. Nice turn by the Tottenham man, looking to dazzle his way past William Saliba. Now this is Jed Spence. Bentancur. Tottenham have the ball around 30 yards out centrally from the Arsenal goal. Now it goes all the way back into the feet of the Spurs defender, Christian Romero. Over to the left-hand side this time. This is Wilson Odobert. Lucas Bergvall, the former Burnley man, Odobert again. Now Bentancur chips the ball into the area, and he was looking to pick out the run of Sarr, and he just raises both hands in the air and apologises, the Uruguayan. But it was a nice idea by Bentancur. But it goes out for a goal kick to Arsenal, which is fired long now by David Raya. Sent forward and headed on, and then this time an opportunity for Arsenal perhaps, and it was a good opportunity for Declan Rice, and Spurs managed to get back in the end to see the ball out to safety, and it will be a corner now to the Gunners. It was headed on by Kai Havertz, and Romero misjudging it, actually played the ball down for Declan Rice, who played it against Pedro Porro, and out for a corner to Arsenal, which will be taken from down their left-hand side. So an opportunity for the Gunners as Declan Rice makes his way over into that corner and applauds the Hong Kong crowd. Declan Rice raises his arm and looks to send the ball in to the area. Instead he plays the corner short. Chance now for William Saliba. Ball out to Lewis Skelly. Now a chance for Odegaard. Plays the ball in from the right-hand side. Now a chance for William Saliba, and this time the flag is raised once again. So another wasteful attacking move that by Arsenal. William Saliba just going beyond the last Spurs man. So it will be a free kick now to Tottenham. It will be fired downfield straight into the opposing goalkeeper David Raya, who immediately throws the ball out to Ben White, and now Arsenal look to come forward. This time a free kick has been awarded though to Arsenal. Mickey van der Ven committing a foul. Kai Havertz is back to his feet. And the ball is played short by Ben White, out to Bukayo Saka. Now White once more. All the way back to William Saliba. Saliba plays the ball out to his left and manages to pick out Jakub Kiwior. White once more. Ball is intercepted though by Lucas Bergvall. And this time he gives the ball away. Now Martin Odegaard on his left foot. Plays the ball out to the left-hand side. Now a chance for Gabriel Martinelli, who goes down. No free kick, says the referee. And now Mohamed Kudus. On the way back to Tottenham's goalkeeper, Vicario. On to Jed Spence, and back to Vicario. Plays the ball out to Mickey van der Ven. Nice play though by Spurs at the back to deceive the Arsenal press. But then Arsenal win the ball back inside their half of the field. This is Ben White, applauded by Mikel Arteta. Now Jakub Kiwior, 10 yards or so from halfway, centrally inside the Arsenal half. Now this is William Saliba. Plays it into the centre circle to Lewis Skelly. And then over halfway it goes now to Ben White down the Arsenal right. And a lapse in concentration involving Bukayo Saka. And it allows Spurs to rekindle possession. And they have it now centrally inside their half. 20 20 yards or so from halfway. Ball played all the way back to Mickey van der Ven. Van der Ven this time on to Vicario. Vicario on to the left-hand side and now collected by Jet Spence. And into the feet of Vicario. He plays the ball out, looking to find Pedro Porro down that right flank, applauded by Thomas Frank, but it goes out of play for a throw-in to Arsenal. There's a packed house inside the Kai Tak Stadium in Hong Kong as Arsenal quickly take the throw-in. This is William Saliba, centrally inside the Arsenal half. Out to the left it goes to Jakub Kiwior. And now Ben White floats the ball over the top, up towards Kai Havertz, brings the ball down rather neatly. And now an opportunity though for Romero. Plays it centrally into the feet of Mohamed Kudus, looking to get past Miles Lewis-Skelly, who brings the former West Ham man down. Mohamed Kudus, referee, awards a free kick to Spurs. Just a word or two in the ear of Miles Lewis-Skelly. It's a rather heavy challenge on Mohamed Kudus, but it is just a free kick. And now an opportunity for Tottenham, who play the ball forward. Into the area it goes, and this time Arsenal managed to scramble the ball away to safety, and this time there will be a free kick to Tottenham, but there is an Arsenal player down on the far hand side of the field. So the referee just going over to make sure everything is okay. Still Arsenal 0, Tottenham 0. Yet to have a goal in this encounter. It's Miles Lewis-Skelly, the player who is currently down, just receiving some necessary treatment from the Arsenal medical staff. What a player he has been and is being for Arsenal, Miles Lewis-Skelly. Ball over the top it was to Bukayo Saka previously, who had a chance in the early exchanges. Martin Odegaard as well. The ball into the area, and which was headed wide by William Saliba. But Tottenham have certainly held their own in these opening 24 minutes in this encounter. Tottenham's best opportunity came to Mohamed Kudus, which his effort was blocked in the end. And of course, don't forget there was that opportunity for Pedro Porro, which came on off the back post. But 24 and a half minutes in, Arsenal 0, Tottenham 0. We are now back underway. Free kick following that challenge on Mickey van der Ven from Kai Havertz. Tottenham play the ball forward, looking to find the run of Mohamed Kudus, but out comes David Raya to gather it and immediately rolls it out to William Saliba, out to the right hand side. This is Ben White now for Arsenal. Back it goes to the Frenchman William Saliba. Now space for David Raya, and fired downfield over halfway it goes. Out of play this time for what will be a throw in to Spurs down their right, just on halfway. chance now for Pedro Porro to send the ball forward. Held up nice by Richarlison, who has of course been linked with a move back to his former club Everton. Now Mohamed Kudus collects the ball from the right for Spurs, lays it into the centre of the Arsenal half to pick out Leandro Bentancur. All the way back now to Christian Romero. Romero on to Nicky van der Ven. And now this is the Arsenal man, van der Ven, once more. Plays it all the way back to Vicario, who has the ball on the edge of his 18-yard area, the Spurs goalkeeper. And this time, fired forward. Downfield it goes, and a chance for an effort at goal. Breaks here to Wilson Odobert, who goes for goal, and it comes off the post. That's 2 times now that Tottenham have hit the Arsenal post. This time it was Wilson Odobert. Advantage was given by the referee. Mohamed Kudus struck it, and then it come back out to Odobert, whose right-footed effort comes back off the left post of David Raya's goal. And there was a touch on the way, so it will be a corner from the right-hand side to Tottenham. And an opportunity for Mohamed Kudus to deliver the ball into the area. The ball swung in, and this time it somehow evades everybody. And Richarlison was there at the back post and couldn't bundle the ball into the back of the Arsenal net. What an opportunity it was again for Tottenham. An inviting ball in, and it in fact came off the post once more. And Arsenal survive yet again. That's 3 occasions now that Tottenham have hit the Arsenal post, and the score's still tied at 0-0. Van der Ven all the way back now to Vicario. Now a throw it to Arsenal down the left-hand side, which will be taken by Miles Lewis-Skelly. Spurs now look to come forward. Over to the left-hand side it goes. Jed Spence. Now on to Vicario, who fires the ball downfield, looking to pick out the run of Richarlison. Out comes David Raya to head the ball away. It was good commanding goalkeeping that by the Spaniard, because he had Richarlison bearing down on him. A confident header to deceive the Spurs danger as the ball is fired forward at the back by Van der Ven, but straight through to David Raya, who plays it out now to Jakub Kiwior, the Poland international. He has the ball on his left foot, plays it all the way back to David Raya on the edge of his 18-yard area. Half an hour played at the Kaitak Stadium, still goalless between Arsenal and Tottenham, and now Declan Rice has it on the edge of the Spurs area. Ball is given away though by Bukayo Saka, won back though by Declan Rice. Now this is Odegaard. Odegaard on his left boot, lays the ball out to Norgard. Space now for Kiwior. On to Martin Odegaard again. On his left boot and plays it out to Kiwior once more. Space for William Saliba. Now Martin Odegaard. Odegaard again and plays the ball across, and this time opportunity for Saliba, who plays it over to the right-hand side. This is Bukayo Saka. Saka this time collects it. And it will be a free kick to Tottenham for a foul on Leandro Bentancur. Saka managed to get the better of Jed Spence and Wilson Odobert, but then just caught Leandro Bentancur in the Spurs area. Spotted by the referee, and a free kick awarded to Spurs. Leandro Bentancur just currently down momentarily, just receiving some necessary treatment. But Arsenal, of course, so far so good in pre-season. 3 wins in from 3. They'll be looking to get another win under their belts, and that injury to Leandro Bentancur will allow for a necessary cooling break, given the high temperatures in Hong Kong. Temperatures of around 29 degrees. And an opportunity for both managers to get their messages across to their respective players. But it is still goalless in Hong Kong. Between both Arsenal and Tottenham. The players, of course, can make their way back now into their respective halves. 32.5 minutes on the clock. Thomas Frank just having a word with several of his players, and the play now resumes with Vicario with the ball and just explaining that Leandro Bentancur is ready to re-enter the action. Richarlison looks to head the ball on from the Vicario goal kick, but it goes all the way through to David Raya. Plays the ball out to the left-hand side, and all the way back he gathers it. The Spaniard fires the ball downfield up towards the head of Bukayo Saka. Spurs managed to win it through Wilson Odobert, however. He goes down under a challenge, and it will be a throw-in to Spurs. Odobert went down under a challenge, but it will just be the throw-in for Tottenham. So a throw-in to Thomas Frank's men. Ball played forward and headed away this time by Martin Odegaard, and now Bukayo Saka. He can use his pace and bring it forward, and he goes down under a challenge from Leandro Bentancur, who was brought down by Bukayo Saka previously. So a free kick now to Arsenal with just less than 10 minutes to go in the first half at the Kai Tak Stadium. Still Arsenal 0, Tottenham 0. Declan Rice to send the ball in to the area. More bodies back in there for Spurs as they look to get the ball away to safety. Ball is played in, and This time it comes back out to Declan Rice. Fired forward out to Bukayo Saka, who manages to keep it in. Now this is Odegaard. Space for Christian Norgard. Lays it off to William Saliba. Now Lewis Skelly. Out to Martinelli. Down the Arsenal left. Now Lewis Skelly again. William Saliba. 30 yards out centrally from the Spurs goal. Lays it out to Bukayo Saka from the right-hand side. Now this is Ben White. Space for Bukayo Saka, who delivers the ball in, and it comes out to Ben White now. Now collected by William Saliba. Chance for Bukayo Saka. Saka laying the ball off, and this time a free kick is awarded for Spurs. Referee spotting a infringement. And of course it's likely there will be changes from both teams at the start of the second half. Has been the case of majority of teams during the pre-season campaign. And of course, we're likely to see the unofficial debut of Viktor Gyokers, the former Sporting Lisbon forward. And we could also see new recruit Christian Mosquera, the centre-back who joined the club from the La Liga outfit Valencia. But no goals thus far for this Hong Kong support to cheer as Spurs come forward now down their right-hand side. This is Mohamed Kudus. Pedro Porro now on to Lucas Bergvall, who's in an offside position. It will be a free kick to Arsenal. And of course, Tottenham without the likes of Brian Hill, Manol Solomon, Dejan Kulusevski, and the likes of Radu Dragusin, Destiny Udogi, and Kota Takai, the new signing, all not forming part of the pre-season tour, all through injury. And of course, Brian Hill likely to seek pastures new this summer. So a free kick to Arsenal, which David Raya will send downfield. Long it goes towards Gabriel Martinelli, who was adjudged to have fouled Richarlison, and it will be a free kick this time to Spurs. A shake of the head from the Brazilian, Christian Romero. Will play the ball downfield. Now Tottenham look to push forward here. Ball out to the left-hand side onto Jed Spence. This time a free kick to Arsenal. Jed Spence bringing down Bukayo Saka. And a free kick to the Gunners. So less than 5 minutes to go until the end of this first half. Arsenal 0, Tottenham 0. Opportunity now for Declan Rice to deliver the ball into the area. This time it comes out to Martin Odegaard and then cleared away. All the way back to David Raya, who sends the ball long. And this time, free kick awarded to Tottenham for a challenge by William Saliba, and it will be a free kick in the centre of the Spurs half, around 15 yards or so from halfway. Just the 3 minutes of normal time left to play in this first half. Arsenal 0, Tottenham 0. Mickey van der Ven plays the ball out to the left-hand side. Now this is Wilson Odobert for Spurs. On to Lucas Bergvall, back inside the Tottenham half of the field down the left-hand side. Collected by the Dutchman van der Ven once more. Now Vicario sends it long, but it's headed back into the path of Martin Odegaard. Now Kai Havertz from the right-hand side, slips it through to Bukayo Saka, but it's good defending there by Spurs. And this time, Lucas Bergvall has it and can play it forward. Tottenham pressing for an opener here. Ball is given away by Richarlison, and it breaks kindly into the path of Vicario. Over to the right-hand side it goes. Space now for Spurs. Once more. Collected now by Bentancur. Now a chance for the ball to be played forward, and this time it comes off a Tottenham body and it will be a goal kick to Arsenal. So plenty of work to do at half-time for both managers, and it's likely we will get to see the introduction of Viktor Gyokers, the Arsenal new signing. We could also see the likes of Max Dowman, a talented 15-year-old teenager who has hit the headlines in recent weeks for his stellar performances for the Gunners. As Arsenal push forwards down the right-hand side. This is Kai Havertz into the path of Bukayo Saka, and this time Mickey van der Ven gets across to see the ball out. So it will be a throw-in, which is quickly taken from the Arsenal right-hand side. Now space for Odegaard. Headed away at the back this time by Christian Romero, but only as far as the Frenchman Saliba. Saliba now back to Jakub Kiwior. This time opts to go all the way back to David Raya. And now space for Lewis Skelly. No foul, and a chance here for Spurs, and a goal for Spurs. David Raya caught off his line, and Spurs take the lead against Arsenal. David Raya played the ball into the path of Miles Lewis Skelly, and he was caught in possession. The Arsenal left back. And it was Matchday that saw David Raya off his line and chipped the ball over the goalkeeper and into the back of the Arsenal net. A delightful Spurs goal, and they take the lead at the Kaitak Stadium just before half-time. Arsenal want a foul on Miles Lewis Skelly, but I don't think they're going to get it, and Tottenham lead through Matchday. Arsenal 0, Spurs 1. And with 3 minutes additional time at the end of the first half, can Arsenal get themselves back on level terms? A Free kick now to Arsenal. Down their left-hand side within the Spurs half. Christian Romero, the player who's fouled Kai Havertz. So a chance at the set piece. For the Gunners. And a chance for Martin Odegaard. come a free kick. Free kick which will be awarded to Tottenham at the start of this second half. Bukayo Saka, the player who committed the foul, so a free kick to Tottenham, who immediately spray the ball over to the right hand side, and it will be a goal kick to Arsenal. Chance for them to play the ball forward. This is David Raya. Plays the ball out to Martin Odegaard. And now Arsenal come forward with Miles Lewis-Skelly, who throws the ball in. And this time on to Jakub Kiwior. No changes for either team at the break of the start of this second half, but the changes are expected to come thick and fast in as the game goes on. Ball fired forward and headed down, and Arsenal look to find that all-important equaliser. Ball is out of play this time for what will be a goal kick, which Vicario plays short from his 6-yard area and then gets the ball back at his feet. The Italian, now space for Van der Ven. On his left foot, plays it forward, manages to pick out Richarlison, and now sent forward, and space for Tottenham to come forward. This is Mohamed Kudus on his left foot, still going. Mohamed Kudus cuts inside, and this time the ball is given away, and Spurs looking to win it back. Good pressure by Thomas Frank's men. Now this is Pedro Porro into the feet of the goal scorer Sarr. Now Bentancur on to Van der Ven out to the left-hand side. Space now for Bentancur again. Now Sarr on to Van der Ven. Romero has it at the back for Tottenham. Now Pedro Porro. Out to Mohamed Kudus. Kudus again, and this time he looks to shrug off a challenge from Lewis-Skelly. Free kick quickly taken by Mohamed Kudus. And now all the way back to Romero. Romero over to the left-hand side, and Spurs come forward. A chance now for Sarr. This is Van der Ven. 5 minutes into this second half, still Arsenal 0, Tottenham 1. And Odegaard has it now for Arsenal. Odegaard again. This time centrally it goes to Declan Rice. Lewis-Skelly in the centre circle to William Saliba. Now over to the right-hand side it goes with a wasteful ball, and it's allowed Lucas Bergvall to come away with it for Tottenham into the centre circle. And now a chance to bring it forward, but it's won back now, and Arsenal play it down the left-hand side, and against a Spurs body. It was Martinelli They look to drive it across towards the 18-yard area, but it was seen out by Pedro Porro, and it will be a throw-in to Arsenal down their left-hand side to the right of the Spurs 18-yard area. Thomas Frank just having a word or two with his coaching staff. This is Jakob Kiwior. Out over to the right-hand side it goes, on to Ben White. Now Norgard. Norgard for Tottenham. All the way back to William Saliba. Now space. And the ball played over the top in the end, but it's run straight through. Over to David Raya, who sends the ball forward. Now this is Declan Rice. On to Lewis Skelly. Over to the right-hand side it goes. Arsenal pushing for that equaliser, and they give the ball away. Now Tottenham look to come forward on the counter. Ball flicked forward, and this time Christian Norgard wins it back. It will be a free kick to Arsenal this time. A foul by Jed Spence, and it will result in a free kick to Arsenal, which is quickly taken. And Arsenal look to come forward down the right-hand side. This is Martinelli. Space now for Declan Rice. Now Lewis Skelly. Now space for Kiwior. Over to the left it goes, and now Martinelli. Lewis Skelly again here on the edge of the Tottenham area. Now on to Saliba. Centrally he finds Martin Odegaard. Now over to the right-hand side. A low cross into the area, and this time it's cleared away by Mickey van der Ven. And space now for Martinelli, who plays the ball through here towards Declan Rice, and he will bring it forward. And now Martinelli still going for Arsenal. On to Declan Rice. Looks to slip the ball through, but it's too close to Vicario. And now the Italian fires the ball downfield. Tottenham have it with Pedro Porro just over halfway inside the Arsenal half, down their right-hand side, and it ends up all the way back at the feet of Vicario, who opts to go long and fired away in the end. It's only a matter of time, you suggest, that Mikel Arteta will turn to his bench, as will Thomas Frank, and Jakob Kiwior lays the ball off to David Raya. Now Saliba. Ball over the top, and this time it breaks to Bukayo Saka. Down the Arsenal right-hand side up against Jed Spence on his left foot. Lays the ball off here, and the ball seen away by Spurs at the back. But now a chance for Arsenal, and an effort towards goal by Martin Odegaard. And it comes off a Spurs body and out for a corner. So a chance now for the Gunners at this set piece, but it is better by Mikel Arteta's men. It was nice interchange involving Bukayo Saka, but Christian Romero was unable to get the ball away. And it forces a corner now to Arsenal. Christian Romero, meanwhile, is currently down. And looks to be in the need of some necessary medical attention. But it is still Arsenal 0, Tottenham 1 at the Kaitak Stadium. Christian Romero is back to his feet now. And the ball is fired in from the right-hand side by Bukayo Saka from the corner. And now Arsenal push forward again here, an opportunity! And it's not far away. It's over the crossbar in the end by Gabriel Martinelli, but a really good opportunity. Opportunity for Tottenham down the right-hand side. Pedro Porro to take this Spurs throw in. Now Miles Lewis-Skelly wins it back for Arsenal, but then gives it away straight to Pedro Porro. Tottenham still leading by that one goal from the first half. This is Lucas Bergvall. Plays it all the way back to Pedro Porro. It goes out for what will be a throw in this time to Arsenal, with just over half an hour to go in Hong Kong. And yet still no changes for both teams. Lewis-Skelly takes the throw in. This is Norgard. Ball is won back by Spurs here, and now this is Richarlison. Brings it forward. Richarlison going all alone here, and then runs into traffic. Collected now by William Saliba. And now space for Bukayo Saka, who runs into traffic. Will be a free kick to Arsenal for a foul by Leandro Bentancourt. And Arsenal have it centrally with Jakob Kiwior. Now this is Lewis-Skelly. Into the feet of William Saliba. Saliba again. Lays it to Lewis-Skelly. Now over to the right-hand side it goes. Chance now for Arsenal. You have the ball and lay it out to the left-hand side. Now a good opportunity for Martinelli, who sees the ball out, and it will be a throw-in the end to Arsenal. The last touch was off Pedro Porro. And Arsenal quickly take the throw in, and they have it now with William Saliba centrally inside the Spurs half. Over to the right to Bukayo Saka, up against Jed Spence. On his left foot, Bukayo Saka still going, and this time lays the ball out to Saliba once more. Now this is Ben White. Martin Odegaard has the ball stolen from him, and now Spurs come forward and they get themselves a free kick. This time a foul by Martin Odegaard. And there will be 3 changes now for Spurs. Brennan Johnson, one of the 3 players to enter the action, and as will Kevin Danso and Matthias Tell, the former Bayern Munich winger. So Thomas Frank, the first boss to ring the changes in Hong Kong. The referee just getting the signal to say that Tottenham want to make a trio of substitutions. So on comes Kevin Danso. And off goes Christian Romero. Mohamed Kudus and Richarlison will be the other 2 to make way. So a first outing completed for Mohamed Kudus. And a word from Thomas Frank. Brennan Johnson now comes on for Tottenham. And there will also be a chance for Matthias Tell to enter the action for Spurs. Richarlison, the player, to leave the field. And another talking to from Thomas Frank. So Tottenham, with fresh legs on the field of play, come forward now. First touch for Matthias Tell down the left-hand side. Still going. Now a chance for Spurs, and this is Lucas Bergvall. Bergvall has it once more. Collected now by Bentancur. Danso out to Pedro Porro. This time wins the ball back and plays it all the way to his goalkeeper, Vicario, who has the ball at his feet. The Tottenham goalkeeper out to the left-hand side it goes, and this time Van der Ven is looking for options and plays it against a Arsenal body. So it will be a throw into Spurs. Throw in which is taken by Matthias Tell. Now this is Pedro Porro down the right-hand side for Spurs. Fires the ball over to the left-hand side. Chested down now by Matthias Tell, and a chance for Tottenham moving forward in it. The last touch was off a Spurs body. It looked as though it came off an Arsenal body in the end. It remains to be seen what the referee has awarded. He has awarded the corner in the end. It did look as though it came off an Arsenal body, and the referee also thought the same. So a corner from the left-hand side. The ball is delivered in by Matthias Tell. Collects it on the left-hand side. Still going, Matthias Tell. Plays the ball in, and this time a chance from the header. And it should have been 2-0. It was Mickey van der Ven who rose the highest. It was a lovely ball in from the left-hand side of the Arsenal 18-yard area. A cut back by Matthias Tell. And with the goal at his mercy, somehow Mickey van der Ven heads wide of the target. But what a chance it was for Tottenham to double their lead. Arsenal manage to survive. Now Lewis Skelly. Downfield it goes, and the ball cut out by Kevin Danso, who now plays it through to Pedro Porro. Leandro Bentancur just wanted a bit more calm from his team. The Spurs midfielder. And now Vicario on the edge of his area. Fires the ball down forward through the middle. Looking to find Matthias Tell. Collected by Bentancur. A wasteful ball though over down the left-hand side, and this time it's out of play for a throw-in to Arsenal, just short of halfway down their right-hand side, within their half of the field. But still, it is Tottenham leading at the Kaitak Stadium. That first half goal. By Matassar, chipping the ball over. David Raya is what separates the two teams, and there will be changes now for Arsenal. Christian Norgard and Gabriel Martinelli leave the field, and on comes one of their new signings in Martin Zubimendi. And Leandro Trossard is the other player to enter the action. First touch now for Zubimendi. A new recruit, of course, from Real Sociedad. Had been linked with a move to Liverpool to Anfield, but opted to stay put before joining the Gunners, and the ball is whipped in rather dangerously on the edge of the area this time, and a shot towards goal, and it wasn't far away by Zubimendi. It was a really good chance, that, for the substitute. And it's his efforts on the edge of the Tottenham area. The ball was headed out by Kevin Danso, and he chested it down. And it wasn't far away. Took a nick on its way, so it will be a corner to Arsenal. And Bukayo Saka goes over to send the ball in. So a chance now for Arsenal and Bukayo Saka as the ball is delivered in. This time it doesn't beat the first man in Pedro Porro. And Arsenal look to win the ball back once more. This time it's cleared away. Back inside the Arsenal half of the field, and all the way back it goes by Kiwior to David Raya, who sends it forward. Over and now on the edge of the area, a shot towards goal, and it's comfortably into the arms of David Raya. It was Kai Havertz who struck it towards goal. Still Arsenal 0, Tottenham 1. Can Arsenal get themselves on the score sheet? Now this is Leandro Trossard, the substitute. Plays the ball out to Lewis Skelly. Now this is Leandro Trossard. Up to Jakub Kiwior, who sends the ball in, and this time it's too close to Vicario in the Spurs goal, who's happy to just keep hold of the ball for the time being. Spurs, of course, in no rush to play the ball out. And Vicario, this time opting to hold on to it, just being told by the referee to speed things up, and eventually fires the ball forward, and it's given straight back to Arsenal. Now this is Lewis Skelly out to the left hand side to Kiwior. Better by Arsenal as Trossard holds the play up and plays it into Jakub Kiwior. Now space for Martin Odegaard. Odegaard brings it forward, and this time Lewis Skelly sends the ball in, and it's headed behind by Jed Spence. There is a Tottenham player currently down. Lucas Bergvall is the player, and he is back to his feet. So Bergvall back to his feet now. Will be a corner though to Arsenal, which Bukayo Saka will take. Play the ball into the area. Long ball it is, and this time headed up, cleared away, and then a ball flash back towards goal from Bukayo Saka. Tottenham again standing firm. They have really been on top of their game at the back, Spurs. As Arsenal push forward again here. This is Bukayo Saka. Play continues. And now a chance for Declan Rice. Arsenal stop play momentarily because Bukayo Saka is currently down. The Arsenal wide man. It was Matthias Tell who looked to have just caught Bukayo Saka, but he is back to his feet now. And there will be changes for Spurs once more, imminently. Son Heung-min will enter the action. And there will also be a change that will see Ben Davies into the field. But that gives an opportunity now for the cooling break of this second half. So both players making their way over to get the necessary fluids. But it is still Arsenal 0, Tottenham 1 with a quarter of an hour left to play. So Spurs and Arsenal, this first North London derby of the season. All being it a pre-season friendly. There has been some rather tough challenges and tackles out there. And it is Tottenham still leading by that one goal. Matissar. goal scorer. Martin Zubimendi, the Arsenal substitute, has had an opportunity. And now there will be further changes. Arsenal about to make more alterations. Christian Mosquera will enter the action. And we're about to see Viktor Gyokers also be given his opportunity, as will Max Dowman, a very talented 15-year-old who has made a name for himself during this pre-season for Arsenal. So on comes Viktor Gyokers. Can he get on the score sheet with less than 15 minutes to go? Those Arsenal fans delighted to see Gyokers enter the action for the latter stages of this contest. And Mosquera, the former Valencia defender, of course. Meanwhile, Spurs see Lucas Bergvall leave the field. Now this is Trossard. Forward it goes, and out of play it will be a corner to Arsenal. So defending to do now at the back there for Tottenham. Chance for Martin Odegaard from this set piece. Ball delivered in. This time it's headed away, and then a shot fired towards goal, and it was good defending at the back there for Spurs. Max Dowman it was who struck it. Ball came out to the teenager, and he struck it with venom. And now a chance for Arsenal again. Ball fired in, and this time it's out for a goal kick. But still Arsenal 0, Tottenham 1. 78 minutes on the clock. That Papa Mata Sarr goal for Spurs is what separates the two teams, as Vicario will fire this ball downfield. Chested down, and now Lucas Bergvall will send it forwards. Ball out to the right hand side, and this time William Saliba out to Mosquera. Forward it goes. The ball over the top up towards Viktor Gyokers, but it's straight into the gloves of Vicario. He plays it out to Pedro Porro, and he eventually plays it against Leandro Trossard, and out for a throw in.
We got a guy who runs around
down the right hand side.
We could have got Jordan Ayew. Jordan Ayew does the same as Kai Havertz. He's
So a long throw down the right flank, headed up in the air by Alexander Zinchenko, helped on by Leandro Trossard, and Viktor Gyokers battling for it. Now Vicario fires the ball away. Out of play it goes for a throw into Arsenal, just inside the Spurs half, and Zinchenko quickly takes it. Now Trossard. Leandro Trossard gets back to his feet. Now a ball out to Dowman. On his left foot. Still going, Max Dowman. Lays the ball out to Zubimendi, and this time an opportunity for Odegaard. Now back to Dowman. Cuts inside and delivers the ball in, and this time it's cleared away. And out for a throw-in. 9 minutes left to play in this second half. And now this is Zinchenko. Ball forwards once again. Now Max Dowman. Into the path of William Saliba. Now Zinchenko. 35 yards out from goal, Mosquera. Now this is Odegaard, sends the ball in, headed down, and this time it comes out to Zinchenko. Space now for Mikel Merino to deliver. And now the ball breaks kindly to Heung-min Son, who can bring it away for Spurs here, over halfway. Still going. Now towards Matthias Tell, but Mosquera is there to see it back for Arsenal. And he has the ball, the former Valencia defender. Lays it off now to Zubimendi. Now Mosquera again. Over to the right-hand side, picks out Dowman. Still going, and this time lays the ball out to Ben White, who puts the ball out of play because Leandro Trossard is currently down, but is back to his feet. But there will be further changes now. James Maddison about to into the action for Tottenham. Off goes the goal scorer. That's Assar, and Arsenal about to send on Reece Nelson, player of course who spent the last season on loan at Fulham. Has been linked with a permanent move to Craven Cottage. But we'll get the remaining 6 minutes or so here, and as will James Maddison and Archie Gray for Tottenham. So Arsenal 0, Tottenham 1. As the ball is fired forward, David Raya collects it for the Gunners. Now the ball fired long and out of play, and a throw in to Arsenal. Now William Saliba on to Martin Odegaard. Space now for Dowman. Zinchenko. On to Reece Nelson. Now Zinchenko again, delivers the ball in, and this time it comes out on the edge of the area, and a shot fired towards goal and out of play for a goal kick. But time running out now for Arsenal as they look to find that all-important equaliser. And a shot fired wide by Mikel Zubimendi.
We got a guy who runs around, and we could have got Jordan Ayew. Jordan Ayew does the same as Kai Havertz. He's unbalanced the team. Oh, you don't know the space he makes. Emil Heskey made space for people. Dirk Kuyt made space for people.
And he ain't going nowhere.
He ain't going nowhere. Hold
he's
on.
going somewhere. He's going somewhere.
Where?
Wait.
Where's he going?
Saudi Arabia. Assalamu alaikum. Please take Kai Havertz from us.
He ain't going nowhere.
Give us £1 million, brothers. Please.
He ain't going nowhere. No.
We got a guy who runs around, and we could have got Jordan Ayew. Jordan Ayew does the same as Kai Havertz. He's unbalanced the team. Oh, you don't know the space he makes. Emil Heskey makes space for people. Jordan Ayew.
Fires the ball downfield as Arsenal come forward with Mosquera. Now Dowman on his left foot. This time it's won back by Jed Spence and then seen out of play for a goal kick. Vicario will send this ball downfield. Long ball downfield it goes. This time it's out of play for a throw-in to Tottenham. Just over halfway inside the Arsenal half of the field. Jed Spence to take it. A long ball down the left, and it will be chased down by Matthias Tell. Now back to Jed Spence again. Tottenham happy to keep hold of the ball in these remaining minutes of this contest. Now Heung-min Son back to the South Korean, all the way back to Ben Davies. Now Jed Spence looking for options, plays it back to Ben Davies. Now Romero. Davies again. Fires it downfield and all the way back into the gloves of David Raya. He rolls it out to William Saliba on his left foot. Now Christian Mosquera. Out to the right, he picks out Dowman. He brings it forwards. Dowman once again collects it from Ben White. Now Mosquera on to Zinchenko. Space now for Reece Nelson, and it will be a corner to Arsenal from the left-hand side. So a chance for the Gunners from their left-hand side, which Martin Odegaard will take, approaching the 90-minute mark in Hong Kong. Odegaard delivers the ball in, and this time it's headed down and cleared away by Pedro Porro. There will be 6 added minutes at the end of this contest as Reece Nelson picks up the ball from David Raya. Now Mosquera. On towards Ben White. Space now for Dowman. Ball is crossed in and it's away with one and well out of play for a goal kick in the end. To Tottenham. Already played one of the additional 6 minutes. Mikel Arteta unhappy at the time Vicario is taking over this goal kick. Vicario to send the ball downfield. Long it goes. Headed up in the air. Brought down eventually as Arsenal win it back and come forward. Now a chance for Max Dowman. On his left foot, cuts inside, and then the ball is seen out of play for a corner from the right-hand side. So 2 minutes played of the additional 6. Arsenal 0, Tottenham 1. Referee just having a word with Brennan Johnson and Mikel Merino. Still Arsenal 0, Tottenham 1. Ball will be played into the area. This time it's headed up in the air, and out comes Vicario and claims it in his gloves, the Tottenham goalkeeper. Mosquera was up from the back for Arsenal. And now it's fired up in the air by Vicario and headed down by Zinchenko. Ben Davies helps it on. Now Arsenal have it with William Saliba. 3 minutes left to play of the additional 6. Now this is Max Dowman. Dowman still going, looks to feed the ball through, and out of play it goes for...
We mustn't forget that it's been raining, so the pitch is quite...
It's been raining.
A goal kick.
Are you
It was
being
an overhit
serious?
pass by the youngster. Out for a goal kick. Still Arsenal 0, Tottenham 1. This pre-season friendly. Don't forget, of course, the season is just around the corner, and Flash Score will bring you all the live audio commentaries throughout the new Premier League season. Football is finally back across all the domestic leagues. So do tune in as Flash Score brings you all the live action. Meanwhile, Arsenal come forward again as it drifts out of play for a throw-in which Zinchenko will take down the Arsenal left. This is Reece Nelson. Nelson back to Zinchenko. Now back to Nelson again. This time looking to get past Pedro Porro. Will be a free kick to Arsenal, which will be taken from down their left to the right of the Spurs 18-yard area. So an opportunity to send the ball in. A puff of the cheeks from Mikel Arteta.
we mustn't forget that it's been raining, so the pitch is quite... It's been raining? Are you being serious? It's raining for both teams. Come on, Ty. Come on, man. You're making up excuses for a disgusting performance. We mustn't forget that it's been raining, so the pitch is quite... It's been raining? Are you being serious? It's raining for both teams. Come on, Ty. Come on, man. You're making up excuses for a disgusting performance. We mustn't forget that it's been raining, so the pitch is quite... It's been raining? Are you being serious? It's raining for both teams. Come on, Ty. Come on, man. You're making...